All right. I think we're back. Are we back? I think we're back. Hopefully we're back. I don't really know. I don't really trust YouTube because it's not working the way it does on my other channels. So hopefully it's working. But what I did, if those of you guys are finding me now, I need to go back and post a link to say, hey, just come to the regular channel. Um, Instead of creating a new channel, because I realized something as soon as I got off the line with you guys that when you create a new channel, you actually can't go live for 24 hours. Uh, and I realized, oh crap, that would make it hard for me to keep my promise. So I just rebranded this from Jace Barnett to Jace Love Strength, and we'll use this going forward. May change the name again. I don't know. I'll have to remove the non-strength content from this and boot it off somewhere else and use the new thing for when I'm helping people. But all right, guys, you subscribe. This will be the new home, and we'll start doing content here 3, 4, 5 times a week. So hopefully those people join us. I'm gonna go post a link and let them know real quick. So bear with me while I do that. Let's go find our previous video. Let's go here and let me make a comment there and say subscribe because we're staying live right here. This is the new channel. All right, cool. I guess that means I'm supposed to pin this thing now, right? So it stays at the top. Probably a good idea. Boom. Okay, cool. Hopefully we get back our audience. If we don't, that's okay. Uh, I don't know. Let's see if I've got any more information about that. I'm suspecting the answer to that is actually going to be no, sadly. Let's see if I can find some information about that. Are you asking if Evan is out, or are you saying that Evan is out? Waiting for some information from you guys. Yeah, they list their times in Pacific. That's correct. Like I want to do some research as far as Nedsmith and Evan go, but I don't want to be doing the research while you guys are talking to me, and I feel like I'm ignoring you. You guys are sitting at me staring at a quiet screen with nothing being said. So, uh, World's Strongest Man page. Okay, great. So what we'll do is we'll go back over here. We'll open this in a new tab. We'll go here. 2022 information. Let's see what we got here. No, not there. Is it on the home page here? Da, 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 da. Latest news. It's not there. Where did you see that at? News? Oh, so not their home page, but their Facebook page. Is that what you're saying? I thought I was on live results. Probably. Oh, withdrew. Yeah, it does not say that for Nesman. So does that mean that he only managed one and it's not due to injury? I'm a little confused by that. We're going to stay on top of this, guys. All right, but thanks for the tip there, Slavic. All right. As we start waiting for some results to come in, I guess we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll give people a few more seconds here to join us, and then we'll go over that. Basically, it starts any minute now. which means that we should start getting results in probably about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, keep in mind, when I say 10 to 15 minutes, that means assuming World's Strongest Man tells us anything, which is never a guarantee, right? 10 or 15 minutes could be 25 or 30 or 6 days. Uh, so, um, but I anticipate that we'll know something relatively soon. So, I guess it's been enough time. So, what we do see here is if we look at the live results page, and shout out to Slavic for pointing this out here, it shows that Evan is out of the competition. He has withdrawn. So, even though I'm not a fan of Evan, even though I don't like him, I will never celebrate anyone getting injured or hurt. I'm not going to do that. So, tough breaks to Evan. Um, it does mean that my top five and going into the finals. This is definitely a bracket buster right away on day one of the qualifiers because I had Evan winning Group 5 and Luke going on with him. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So, changes my bracket. Also up here, though, everyone was worried that Nedsman was injured and would have to withdraw. Still may be the case. We look here, I don't see any stars next to him withdrawn from competition. And it still shows him with the 1 point there. So it does not show that Nesman has had to withdraw. I don't know if that's coming or not, but it is interesting in my opinion, to say the least. And again, I said I didn't want to start reporting that he's injured until we know for sure because I didn't want to throw that out there. But hopefully he's not. How come I'm not a fan of him? I assume the him is Evan, right? Is that who we're talking about? I'm assuming it is. It's the only guy I can recall saying I'm not a fan of. Um, Before I comment, I'll wait to make sure that's who we're talking about. Yeah, okay. Well, my problems with Evan, I think, are the same problems that most people who have problems with Evan are that have problems with Evan. Um, he comes off like a douchebag. Um, he's rude. He's obnoxious. He's full of himself. He's um, he thinks he's funny. I don't find him the least bit funny. And I can handle ribbing. I mean, once upon a time, I actually made my money doing stand up. So I mean, I've got no problem with people joking or goofing off or try, but I just don't think he's funny. He strikes me as like an 11 or 12-year-old adolescent boy trying to be funny, but really doesn't know how and is really has no self awareness whatsoever. That's my opinion of Evan. Some people think it's an act. Some people say it's a show that he's putting on, which it might be. If it is, I think it's a bad act, kind of like Colby Covington. I know that Colby's not authentic and real. I know Colby Covington's putting on a show. I just don't find his show that funny or entertaining. I think they're bad at it. The interesting thing about Evan is Colby kind of lets you behind the curtain and says, "Yeah, I'm putting on an act. Yes, this is for show." A lot of people try to make excuses for Evan and say, "Well, that's not him. He's putting on a show. He's trying to do this." And then Evan comes right out and says, "No, I'm not. I don't know why people say that. This is me." And I feel like, well, if that's you, I wouldn't admit it. Um, and you don't have to agree with me either, though. But I don't want to talk anyone out of it liking or being anyone. Like, um, so if you're a fan, be a fan. Don't let me sway you into liking someone that you do like or not liking someone you don't. I mean, we're all allowed to root for whoever we want to root for. That's the great thing. And this sport needs fans of everyone. He's just not my cup of tea. Um, how the deadlift ladder works. I don't know all of the weights involved. I think it starts at like 300K and scales up to 400. I think. I'm not sure about that. But basically the way the deadlift ladder works is you have different bars and they're all loaded up. And I believe it goes from starts at the lightest weight and goes to increasing difficulty. In past years and past events, that's usually the way it works, but there have been certain events where they could tackle them in any order they wanted. But if you lifted the heavier implement, it automatically counted as better than if you got the lighter ones quicker. I think Brian Shaw's actually talking about doing something like that at the Shaw Classic as well. I think that's an interesting take on things. Um, but there we go. And that's the other thing I was getting ready to say. I think there's a max time limit. I thought it was a minute and a half, but Blaine says a minute 15, so we'll take him at his word. Um, so anyway, what happens is you've got the bars there, and you go up to the bar. You lift it as quick as you can, 300. You put that down. You go up to the next one. You pick it up as quick as you can. You go down. You go to the next one, and you keep going up. And they scale up in 20 kilogram increments, so right around 45 pounds or so. And speed is the name of the game. All of the guys are going to be able to handle the 300, 320 really easily. I suspect all of them can handle most of the weights pretty easily. I mean, again, everybody in this day and age are good deadlifters. There was a time, and it seems like it wasn't that long ago, when if you had a 360 kilogram deadlift, you were like, holy crap. Holy crap. Now it's like almost nothing. It kind of makes me feel bad because I consider myself to be a strong dude. But then I look at some of the feats of strength that people are doing, and I'm like, I'm not very strong at all. Um, um, so in the event, it's kind of like a speed slash up and for reps. There's not reps, but I mean, considering you're doing multiple weights, you could kind of consider it for reps. Um, so the guys who are going to have the biggest advantage are guys who are quick, have good endurance, and really the guys who don't have to worry about suits and don't have to worry about wraps. If you can escape it with suits and you don't have to use wraps or straps, you can just go up there, pick up, go. The times that you're shedding off is going to be phenomenal. So those are really the guys that you're going to want to watch for. So, and if you clean the 38 380 and shoulder press it, you win the. If you clean the 380 and shoulder press that, and then press it over your head, you win at life. Yeah, you win at life. I think that's a rule, and you can have my dinner, and probably every dinner I make for the rest of my life, because I'm certainly not going to tell you not to. Um, so, uh, let's see. Got anything coming in yet? Not yet, but soon, guys, soon. Um, can you show group two again? Sure. We can look at group two. We got nothing going on right now. We got the young kid Mitchell Hooper with a hot start. Big bad Brian Shaw, who I think everyone universally adores. Uh, Brian's protege, Gabe Pena. Konstantin Janasha. Just a fun name to say. Bobby Thompson. Now, in most events, Bobby Thompson is like a little person, a dwarf, a, you know, uh, yeah, he's tiny. But next to me, even Bobby Thompson is a giant. Um, I'd have to look up to him. I'd probably come up to maybe his shoulders, maybe. Um, and Mark Felix. Now I'm really out of shape right now, and I've got some injuries lingering that have been keeping me from lifting the way I'd like to. I still go because I'm addicted to it, and I need it for mental health reasons. I can't avoid the gym altogether, but I haven't been able to lift heavy in, gosh, probably 4 months. When I am lifting heavy, I would say that Thompson probably has the physique that I most likely would equate myself to. Not equaling him. Obviously, he's in a different class there, but I'd say that look, that build, proportion wise, it's probably about the way that I'd say that I look. Again, I'm much smaller. I don't know what happened in Nedsmith. Everybody wants to know. I don't show that he is out of the competition. I don't show that he's had to withdraw. Unlike Evan, we see that Evan had to withdraw injury. We don't see that with Nedsmith. So it almost looks like he just did that poorly, and it's really hard to believe that. Maybe he felt something and then stopped the event because he didn't want to risk injury or something, and then got looked over by a medic and deemed he could continue. Um, And he's afraid that maybe that wouldn't have been the case if he'd have kept going. Maybe he played it smart, safe. I don't know. At this point, it's all speculation. What do I call heavy for me? Like in terms of what I'm lifting, um, or when I'm weighing at my heaviest? Are you talking about my weight or weights that I'd be lifting? I guess I'll answer both while I'm waiting. Uh, so when I'm at my heaviest, I probably weigh about 240 to 250, which doesn't sound like a lot when we're talking about the size of the guys that we're watching on this thing. Um, but when you're, 5'3", 5'4", it, 220 plus is a big old boy. Um, and at my biggest, I'm like 240. I've been as high as like 265 in my life, but that's definitely not a good weight. I would hope I never do that again. Um, but I'd say 250 or so is when I'm feeling decent about the shape that I'm in, and I'm being able to use the weight to help me move bigger weights. And at that weight, I'm deadlifting um between 480 and 540, squatting around the same, and benching right at four. I think my max bench ever is 445, and that was at a weight of 210. Interesting. When I was in high school, I was benching over 300, and I only weighed like 135 pounds. So my weight has gone way up, but my lifting has not gone up proportionally with the weight that I've gained. I want to blame some of that on the fact that I stopped lifting for about 15 years. And that probably comes into play, but I think a lot of it is just that I just peaked early and now I'm old. Oh, let's see here. Um, Evan couldn't handle the heat. Maybe again, even though I don't really want to make jokes about anyone getting hurt or being injured. It just feels mean spirited to me. I don't think I want to go down that road. Um, uh, what was the question? I thought I missed a question there. Oh, so are we saying that Evan literally couldn't handle the heat? Like we weren't making a joke? Like we're saying that he got sick from that? It's supposed to have already started, Marco, but your guess is as good as mine because it's World's Strongest Man and they do whatever the heck they want. Let's see here. Yeah, nothing coming in yet. Oh, well, that's not good. Hopefully he didn't get heat stroke. Hopefully he just got hot and decided to withdraw. If it is legit heat stroke, that's that can be pretty damn serious. So let's hope that's not the case. And I don't have to be a fan of his as a person or his personality to say that I don't want that to happen at all. Let's all send him good wishes, and I'll check on his health when we're done with the stream. If there's any reports, I'll definitely lift him up in my prayers. And yeah, uh, I have them both open, Marco. So we've got the World's Strongest Man here. We've got the Strongman Archives here. Which do I recommend? Whichever one you prefer. Um, Now, interesting today, since you didn't join us in the first session, the World's Strongest Man site kind of went down for about 15 minutes there. So, you do that. But that's actually why I'm keeping them open in two separate tabs, because if one of them goes down, hopefully we can still get some information somewhere. I'm not one to talk about that, Miles. I definitely compete when I'm injured. Well, heck, I told you I came into the world injured the way you look at it. Uh, in high school, I can also remember I was playing a football game and I broke my clavicle in the second quarter, and I continued to play the rest of the game with a broken clavicle. Is that smart? No. Am I bragging about it? Not trying to. Is it a testament to how tough I am? No. It's probably a testament to how stupid I was. Um, But sometimes we're just afraid that people will think we're weak or soft or wimpy or whatever, and we're taught so much that people persevere. And when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and so on and so forth. That I think sometimes we're afraid to step away or step down. Kind of wish it wasn't that way, but it's kind of sad. Oh yeah, we talked about that too earlier, Vanilla, before you got here. That every one of these guys is hurt to some degree. How much is the question? But I don't think there's a healthy guy in the field. Strongman is an incredibly hard sport. Um, they're all banged up and hurt. Now, again, how much is a different question. Um, Heck, you can watch every deadlift video on any of their channels, and you'll see that none of them survive without having busted open, bloodied shins every time they lift. Like, not like it happens once or twice, but every freaking time. So um, it's a tough sport. It's really hard on their bodies. Well, thanks, Nick. Okay, should we talk about that topic there that Lab just put? Should we get into the topic of juice? You guys tell me. Tackle the topic or avoid the topic? You guys answer and I'll talk about it. Well, William, if you go back to the first video, I actually picked Mitchell Hooper. Now, part of it was joking. Part of it, I thought he actually could rough things up. But there are a lot of amazing deadlifters in Group Two. I don't really know that it's the group of death. I actually think that Group Three is the hardest group of the bunch. But Group Two is no fun either. But specifically, it's a killer group for deadlift. So it's going to be a great competition. While I jokingly picked Hooper, I actually think that he really could win this, and I think he could actually have the best time overall. And it's not so much just because of the deadlift; it's because of some other things we've talked about. Um, he's got great endurance; it's a big help. He's got good speed; it's a big help. He won't be wearing a suit; that's a big help. He won't have to use straps or wraps; it's a big help. When you look at all of those things and stack them in his odds, he's going to have a good time. He's going to have a really good time. All right. Seems like most of you guys want me to talk about steroids. So let's do it. All right. Let's talk about this. Well, a couple people said no. We'll do it real quick. We'll make it as quick as we can. Here's how I feel about it. Um, it's a topic that I used to be way more passionate about than I am now. Um, I'm about as straight arrow as it gets. Uh, I didn't take freaking aspirin until a couple years ago. Alcohol has never touched my lips. I've never smoked a cigarette. I am a straight edge kind of guy. Some of this is faith based, some of it is just other issues. Some of it is the fact that, again, I came into the world struggling with health issues already, and I've never felt the need to make myself struggle more. So I've tried to avoid a lot of that stuff. Some of it is the fact that I had a very, very abusive and alcoholic father growing up, and I guess I was afraid of becoming my abuser. Um, and part of me is falls for the rhetoric, which may be true, may be false, about the whole cheating this, cheating that thing. Um, Here's how I kind of feel now. Do I think it would be better in general if these guys didn't juice or none of that happened? Um, yeah, I think it'd probably be better because we could actually say it's a little more fair. But I'll talk about the fairness aspect in a minute. But I also think we wouldn't have to worry about them damaging their bodies or worrying about the harmful side effects later. It's not really the fairness part of this, though. Like for me, I used to think that, and a big baseball fan. And so, of course, we all know about PEDs and baseball and asterisks and disqualify people from the Hall of Fame and all that stuff. And I used to be on that, man. I was definitely, yeah, no, 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 no. And then I'm a big fan of the sport of mixed martial arts. And there's a guy that you guys probably know called Chael Sonnen. Um, Very good talker. If he was as good a fighter as he was talker, he'd probably been the greatest fighter of all time, and there would never be another one. Um, and I don't think that everyone uses PEDs. I think it's easy to say that. Um, but Chael was saying something. He's been busted for PEDs himself a few times. And I know what he was doing was disingenuous. I know what he was doing was trying to cover for himself. I know what he was doing was trying to make an excuse. But even if someone is trying to make an excuse, I believe in listening to people. I believe in hearing people out. I believe that we should never be so right about what we believe that we refuse to hear people. You've got to consider information. So I listened to what he was saying, and he actually made a point that I couldn't debate. He said to himself, let's talk about PEDs for a minute. The whole notion is stupid. Of course they're performance enhancing. To which I say, big deal. Everything that athletes do is performance enhancing. Vitamins are performance enhancing. Protein powders are performance enhancing. Training is performance enhancing. Why would anyone do anything that isn't going to enhance their performance? Everything that an athlete does is designed to enhance their performance. If we're going to take away that, then we have to say, well, this guy can't train at altitude, or that guy can't train at altitude, or okay, this guy can't use protein powders because this guy over here can't afford protein powders. At what point do you call the line? At what point do you say this is allowed and this isn't? And I thought about it, and I thought he kind of has a point for a lot of reasons. And it also made me think to myself, like, you know, if you're doing that, why is a lot of this stuff banned? Is it banned because it is unfair? That's what they tell us. Is it banned because it's unhealthy? Sometimes that's what they tell us. But I think sometimes we follow the money. I think the reason sometimes a lot of stuff is allowed and a lot of stuff is banned is to do with who has paid the athletic commissions to allow this, who has paid the athletic commission to look this way, who has paid the governments to say that this is a regulated substance versus this is a non-regulated substance. I'm not sure that we really know. Um, I'm not sure we really know. Yes, bro did just say that protein powder is an enhancement. It is an enhancement. I take protein powder. Do you think I take it because I want to waste my money? I was drinking a protein shake before we went to break. I go to the gym because it enhances my performance. I wouldn't I wouldn't train if I thought it was going to make me worse. So, um, so that's kind of how I feel. I kind of feel like you either have to let it all go or let none of it go. But it's so hard to make sure that everybody's doing the exact same thing unless you're with these guys 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't know. We don't know, and we never will. There is not a way of watching it live. See, that it's easy to say that PEDs are not the same as taking care. But what are you basing it on? We're basing it on our own beliefs and the rhetoric that is spewed out there. Who determines what's the same? Who determines what's fair? At the end of the day, someone decided something and everyone else nodded and went along with it. The truth is, you just look at the definition, performance enhancing. Again, I was as anti it as anyone could be, probably the most anti person in the entire world. But when Chael said that, I thought, I don't like what he's saying. It sits wrong with me. I want to punch him in the face. But it does make you perform better. That's why you take it. So are we saying that it's okay to improve 3% but not 4? Or is it okay to improve 4% but not 5? Don't know how bad the injury is, but it does appear that Evan had to withdraw. What we're hearing is that he may have suffered from heat stroke. So hopefully that's not the case. Come on, World's Strongest Man. Give us some information. So earlier, I said we should have some information coming in 10, 15 minutes. That was about the 10 or 15 minutes expired about 10 minutes ago. So, as I said earlier, we never know. We never know. Trying to read the comments. I knew that that was going to be a dangerous topic to get into. Now, what's funny about it is even if I don't comment on the topic the rest of the stream, there'll probably still be people arguing with one another in the chat for the next hour while we're waiting for results. Um, as we talked about in the last video, we love the drama. Um, I don't actually know what Luke was weighing 3 years ago. I don't really know. Interesting though. Since this is the last comment I'll make on the juice. Um, Back when I first started lifting was in high school, and I broke some state records and was doing really good at wrestling and things of that nature. And I had just got out of my leg braces a couple years before that, and so I made a lot of gains, and I did it in relatively quick time. Um, didn't have any juice or anything to help with, but I actually got accused of taking them quite a bit when I was in high school, and I've noticed that like a lot of athletes get really upset when they get accused of it. I actually found it to be one of the greatest compliments that could be paid to me. I liked when people were accusing me of it because if I am clean and I know that I'm clean, right, and I'm not getting there with shortcuts or whatever, I actually thought, well, that's a big compliment. So I kind of liked it. But anyway, uh, if you have an answer for that, Abdullah, let me know because I'm struggling with it too. Um, yeah, I understand what you're saying right on time. No one is saying they're natural. But again, I'm also saying that protein powders and creatine and the other stuff that you're laughing at and saying it's not the same thing, those aren't natural either. Natural means what God gave you and nothing more. Anything and everything that we do to improve is unnatural. It's not natural to go to the gym for 3 hours a day. It's not natural to change your dietary habits to something that's unnatural. Everything that we do is unnatural. But anyway, I don't want to talk about that topic anymore. Too much negative energy, and I don't want everybody fighting for the entire time. Uh, I first started lifting, I think, when I was 12. And keep in mind, it was only upper body because I was still, well, my legs were basically not usable then. I didn't get, uh, I didn't get rid of the leg braces and stuff until I think I was nearly 14. Um, so I know that the cavemen from the Progressive commercials definitely did not pump iron. They do not look athletic at all. And those are the only cavemen I know. So I'm standing by that. Uh, this is my drug of choice. You can't beat it. We've already talked about the audio clip, Judah. The deadlift ladder is probably a complete part night. They probably did it last night, and we're just waiting for them to pretend to tell us the results now. Um, I don't actually like the Dr. Pepper Zero. I wanted to like it, but I didn't. It's probably just because it's what I'm used to. When I first started drinking Diet Dr. Pepper, I thought it was the nastiest stuff in the world. Now I can't stand regular Dr. Pepper, so it's all what we're used to. When I benched 225, um, I think I first bench pressed 225 pounds as a sophomore in high school, and that was at a weight of I think 125. Hmm. I'm really like watching the chats, being more silent than the last one. I'm probably a terrible host. I was doing better earlier. I apologize, guys. Oh, just wanting them to give us some results. Results. Check the Strongman archive, see if they're posting anything yet. No. Oh, cool. I didn't even see this. So it says the contest underway, no need to refresh the page. So apparently I can set on both of them without pressing F5. I knew I could on the other one. That's cool. So I'll just toggle back and forth between the tabs. Let's see here. Group 5 scores. What do you guys think? Should we go back through the... You can't watch it anywhere, Jacob. I mean, I guess you can go live. You can go there. Maybe look over a fence or something. That's about it. Um, let's see here. Who said something? I don't know. Who said what? I'm not sure. I thought someone was saying, no, you didn't do that based on something else, but I don't see it. So I'm not sure. I won't argue if no one's arguing. Anyway, all right. So here we go. Loading race. Results so far. Let's look at it again, guys. Group 1, Tom Stoltman, Kevin Ferris walk away with max points. The two safe positions. That's what we're going to start calling them. Positions 1 and 2 will be the safe positions. Ivar's picked up 4. The crazy thing here is Kevin Ferris over Ivar's here. Only a second between the two. That was a very important 1 second, right? Very important 1 second. I'm going to lose everybody to Laws and Liz. I won't blame you guys. I could probably bring Laws and Liz up in another tab and watch while they watch with you guys, and then try to talk while listening to them talk. It could be chaotic. I might try it. I don't know. I love Laws and Liz. Um, they have my favorite strongman channel for sure. Um, maybe one day I'll have the best channel. Not, but Laws is great. All right, Group 2, Mitchell Hooper and Brian Shaw in the safe positions. 364 Luke Stoltman, Trey Mitchell 360, 6'4". Luke outweighs Trey by 4 pounds? Really? I would not have thought that Luke weighs more than Trey. I'm surprised by that. We believe that Evan is suffering from heat stroke. Um, Mitchell Hooper and Brian Shaw in the safe positions. Gabriel Pena taking 4, and Janasha only getting away with 3. Group 3, Alexi making all of our hearts warm as he pulls off a big 6-pointer in the loading race with a heck of a time at 37 and a quarter. And I've noticed these times are a lot different than they were in the first section. So apparently when we first got the results, they were unofficial, and now they are official because these times have changed a little bit. They're not like starkly different, but they're a little bit different. So Adam Bishop in the other safe position. Mika with a fine performance in the 3rd place. He did really, really well. And then Trey getting 3 there. Luke not only has huge legs, but as Laws likes to tell us, Luke has a huge ass, right? A big old ass of of Luke Stoltman. We hear that from Laws all the time. So, uh, Group 4, Martins no longer has a photo, so apparently we've got the anonymous Martins standing in. So apparently he's not here, he's not there, he's not everywhere because he's uncalled for right now. Martins has disappeared from World's Strongest Man because he has no photo anymore. Um, so uh, so anyway, he and Max took the two safe positions, and then Pavlo gets in there with four. And then Nedsman, someone asked, what happened to him. We don't know. It doesn't show that he's withdrawn. It is puzzling if he did not withdraw, why he only has 1 point with one implement. And then our fifth and final group, Luke got max points, and Kelvin. I mean, I am shocked. I said it earlier. I said it more than once. I am shocked that Kelvin finished second. But not only did he finish second, look at that. The dude put up a sub 40-second time. What a fantastic start for him. That's bravo, man. Bravo. So this is good. This is good. But now World's Strongest Man needs to make me a happy man and start giving us some deadlift ladder results. Who wants deadlift ladder results? Me. Who else? Everyone, right? Tell us how the deadlift ladder is going. Gee whiz, World's Strongest Man, what's your problem? I think out of everything that you just quoted there, I'm most surprised that Max is 6'4". I didn't think Max was that tall. He doesn't look like it. Is that, you think, a legit height, or is that just what he tells people? Because I feel like I've seen him standing next to Trey, and they don't look the same height to me. And Gav Bilton weighs about 900 pounds, I think. He's one of the few remaining guys that got the old power belly, right? Oh, yeah, I thought Max was about 6'2". I might have even said 6'1" if someone would have asked me without me looking. Which, again, that's still huge. 6'2" is like a foot taller than me. So these are the tiniest fellas are all giants, especially to me. Yeah, I don't think Brian held back. He could have, William. Brian is very calculating, but no, I don't think he did. I think Mitchell Hooper just beat him, and props to him. Props to him. Do I think height is an advantage in World's Strongest Man? Well, as the world's shortest strong guy, I would say, yeah, it's an advantage everywhere. But the truth is, I think there are certain events where height is an extreme advantage, and there are certain other events where I think it's probably better to be built like me and be short. Um, when it comes to like throwing something over something, hey, it really helps to be tall. You don't have as much height to throw it over something, right? Um, when it comes to keeping things elevated, there can be certain advantages there. When it comes to reaching around things, having a good wingspan doesn't necessarily mean height, but usually if you're tall, you got a good wingspan. If you're short, you don't. When it comes to wrapping things around, like for the Atlas stones, big advantage, right? Now, when it comes to things like squatting and things of that nature, if you don't have to move very far, seems like a big advantage. Um, so I think it depends. In the end, I think it probably all washes out, and the cream rises to the crop as it always does. The cream rises to the top as it always does. Cream of the crop. Jeez, man, how embarrassing when I can't even talk. Um, cool. What do I think about Kelvin making the final? Like, what do I think his chances? Are you asking? Because I mean, he hasn't, right? So you're asking, do I think he has a good chance to make the final? Um, I would say, based on through one event right now, you've you've got to like Kevin's chances, right? But again, slow the roll because we're one event deep, right? Um, now I think it'll be Luke and Ethor. Melstead was not expected to make the final last year, and he did. He's not expected to make the final this year, and now that Evan is out, I think he will again. So I think it'll be two finals for Ethor in a row that he was not expected to make. But Kelvin could make it for sure. He could. Um, I don't know. Again, I don't know how much height is an advantage at World's Strongest Man. In some things it is, probably in some other things not. I will say that height is definitely a huge advantage when it comes to dating because I can't count the number of times that I've been told by ladies that I can't have the time of day because I'm short. I've had women tell me that you would be a catch, but and yeah, they'll let me know that I'm short afterwards. And I wish I was making that up, but I'm not. So I don't know if it helps you win World's Strongest Man or not, but it does help you get more dates. So they say, more plates, more dates. I don't know, but more inches on the height, get your minds out of the gutter. Apparently that helps you get more dates, and I don't have that. I guess I could get those elevator shoes, right? Or start sticking stuff inside my shoes. Um, anyway, oh, um, thoughts on athletes competing injured. I never want to tell someone to not do something. They earn the right. Well, sometimes they earn the right to be there. Guess we could all. That's a whole other video, right? Whether these guys earned the right to be there or not, and what the qualification things for World's Strongest Man is. But I don't want to tell someone to sit down. I don't want to tell someone to retire. I don't want to tell someone not to compete. Um, I think you should trust your body. I think you should try to keep yourself healthy. I think you shouldn't put yourself at risk. But in terms of get out of the way for someone else, it's easy to say. Um, but anyway, I don't know. I don't know. Cream of the top crop. I like that. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna get a crop top, and then everyone will cream when they see me in my crop top, right? Or okay, let's stop. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. Um, so as of right now, we hear that Evan was having heat issues and possibly heat stroke. But then someone else came and said that on his Facebook page he posted something about a different type of injury. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. But one thing anyone who has heard me talk can tell you for sure is that I am a huge fan of Evan Singleton, the person. I mean, they don't come a bigger fan of Evan Singleton than me. I am captain of the Evan Singleton fan club, and I will probably get my Evan Singleton T-shirts printed so that I wear them in every um, stream going forward. But it may not say what I just said. Um, for anyone who wasn't here earlier, they actually know the truth. Um, okay, who was that? Someone asked a really good question a second ago. Where's it at? Where was that? Oh, my all-time favorite strongman. One William Kazmaier. Big Bill. I love Bill Kazmaier. Do I think Evan will ever win World's Strongest Man? Well, I'll be rooting against him. I mean, rooting for him the whole way. Um, I think Evan is much better than I want to give him credit for because I don't want to give him credit. Um, but do I think he will ever win World's Strongest Man? No, I actually don't think Evan Singleton will ever win World's Strongest Man. But I do think he could. I definitely think he could. And I think he is way, way better than I want to act like he is. He's way more talented than I want to pretend he is. Um, but I won't be rooting for him. And I don't think he will. I will get some T-Rex tattoos for sure. I'll uh, I'll make sure I get 2 of them before the next stream. Actually, I'll really show my dedication. I'll get a T-Rex tattoo on my neck. That'd be great. If Martin wins another, is he a top 3 all time? So if Martins wins this year and another, or if Martins wins this year and gets a second one, will he be an all time top 3? What's your question, Randy? If adding this one and another, so 3 titles or just a second title? Is there anyone in the future that I'd say are current World Strongest Man winners? Okay, Miles, before I answer that question, 2 titles. Okay, Randy, I'll answer you after I ask Miles to clarify this. Are we saying anyone who hasn't won a title? Because obviously we all know that there are 4 freaking champions in this heat, in this group. This is an amazing. So are we saying, are there any future champions other than the 4 guys who are competing? That's what I'd ask you, Miles. Okay, Randy, 2 times. I think best is a tricky question, right? It's one of these things that there's no way to prove it, and there's no way to really debate it where it's honest or integrity. It comes down to opinions and subjective and fandom, and I don't know. Would he make my top 3 if he wins this year or another? No, he probably doesn't. Now, I'm not going to say for sure because I don't think World's Strongest Man, while it's the big show, it's not the only thing out there. It used to be. There are tons of competitions for these guys now, right? So maybe he doesn't pick up another World's Strongest Man, and maybe he goes out and wins 2 or 3 Shaw Classics and picks up another 3 victories at Arnold's and dominates Rogue. And maybe, yeah, maybe he only has 1 World's Strongest Man title. Doesn't even get a second or adds a second. And I'm like, yeah, at least he's the greatest of all time for sure, or he's in the top 3. Maybe. But I'd say looking at it right now without being able to predict the future or what happens, no, he probably doesn't make my top 3 of all time with a second World's Strongest Man. He's going to have a more decorated resume than that. Um, and we'll talk about. I'm not even going to get into this. We'll do a video soon where we go over who is the greatest strongman of all time, and then we got a great video idea from Thomas earlier. Thomas suggested that we do it one like a hypothetical world's strongest man final predicting a podium where we create our own. We look at all the world's strongest man competitors from the start of this until today, and we create who would make the final and then who would podium against all of the athletes of all time. That sounds like a really fun video, so we're going to do that. That's going to be fun. Okay, now back. Let's see here. Miles said the 4 we currently have. So, okay, do I think there are people who are potential world's strongest man competing this year that are not haven't already won? Yes, I do. Um, I think Trey Mitchell could become world's strongest man. I think um, I think there could be a few. Um, I could see a world where Janasha wins a title. I could see a world where Max wins a title. Um, I think those are the 3 that I'd probably feel most comfortable betting on. Um, and I'd probably be most comfortable betting on uh, Max and Mitchell. Um, there could be more than that, though. I could see a couple other names that I wouldn't be surprised. Um, I wouldn't be surprised at all. But I think those would be the ones that I would most bet on or most anticipate if you held a gun to my head right now and asked me to predict. Um, what if I free strongman at their top would be very yeah. Uh, need to see more before I answer that. Need to see more. Um, Mitch Hooper. See, Here's the thing. I almost said that name, but then I could say names like Adam Bishop. I could, again, there's potential. All these guys could. Heck, in that group three that we've talked about before being so crazy, it's not unheard of for me to think that Adam Bishop, Trey Mitchell, Rob Kearney all win a World's Strongest Man at some time. They all have potential. You have to have the right set of events. You have to have the right competition to be against. There's a lot of stuff that goes in there. It's not just about who is the strongest man. We call it World's Strongest Man, right? But all of us, I think, are smart enough to know that the person holding that title at the end of the year, that doesn't mean that they're literally the strongest man in the world. It means they won that competition. They had the right set of events. They beat the right competition on the right day. Um, so there's stuff there. Uh, but but as far as Mitchell Hooper goes, I guess the one thing I'd say right now is I think we all need to just slow our roll on him. This young man has tremendous upside. He's got a tremendous upside, tremendous potential. He's already starting to show it some. But I mean, it's almost like, again, I'm not saying this to you asking that question, Miles. I'm not saying about anyone here who's talking about Mitchell Hooper like, oh, you know nothing about the guy. But I do know that it's safe to say that a few weeks ago, the vast majority of people who like this sport had never heard the name, have no idea who the guy was. And then Laws and Liz get on there and talk about him, and now all of a sudden it's a foregone conclusion that one day he will be six-time world's strongest man. Um, um, we we need to slow down. We need to wait. We need to slow down and wait. Um, I wouldn't be surprised. The sky's the limit. He could. Who knows? He could do something, but we don't know. All right, we're getting some results coming in, and to say that Rob Kearney has no chance to me is kind of weird because the guy has done some pretty impressive things. Don't need to refresh. The results load automatically. Um, and as I talked about, it's not just about who moves the most. It's about the events in question. If you don't think I could line up a final with like six events that Kearney could do really well at and finish in the first or second, third position on all six of them, then I would say you're crazy, you're nuts. I can certainly list six events that he could be a top three finisher on all six events, but that doesn't mean that's going to happen. Is he ever going to compete in a World's Strongest Man where he makes a final where those six events are there? Probably not. But so much of what we do is speculation. And then the funny thing is, we all speculate like we know what we're talking about, and anyone who disagrees with us is foolish. We're all like, I can't believe you believe that. But it's dumb. We're all sitting here guessing. I don't know any more than you know. You guys don't know any more than I know. We're all guessing, pretending we know what the heck we're talking about. All right. I will do a refresh just in case. Actually, let's check Strongman Archives. Nope, it's still only two guys from Group One. So we got a lot of people saying stuff in there that makes me wonder, like, oh. So I never said that Evan has no chance. When did I say that Evan has no chance? I answered a question: do I think or suspect Evan wins World's Strongest Man? I said no, I don't think he does. But could he? Yes, he could. If anyone want to go back and review the first few minutes of this stream and see if I said what I think I just said, because I'm pretty sure that I did not say that Evan has no chance of winning World's Strongest Man. I'm pretty sure I said I don't anticipate him to win. I'm pretty sure I said that I don't think he ever will. I'm also pretty sure that I said he definitely could. So let's not go putting words in my mouth. All right. What do I think of Brian Shaw's squat or chances overall? I think they're really good. I don't think he wins World's Strongest Man this year, but he definitely could. He definitely could. He's on my podium. I predicted third. We did a little exercise in the first video where he actually finished second when we went through it event by event. Uh, I think Lises wins this year, but Brian definitely could. But I don't think it's kind of the same thing. I'm not saying Brian has no chance. I'm not saying Brian has no chance. I'm saying that I don't think Brian wins this year, and I don't think Brian ever wins again. But I'm not saying Brian has no chance, and I'm not saying Brian never wins again. You're asking me to predict. My prediction is that Brian never wins World's Strongest Man again. I predict that he doesn't. I'm not saying he has no chance. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he won't. Very different things between saying what someone can do and what I suspect will happen. Could Ferris beat Stoltman in Group 1? Yeah, he could. I do expect Ferris to win, or not win the event. I do expect Ferris to go to the final. He was one of my picks all along over Ivars, but I do think that um, Tom wins his group, but he may not. And Tom has made finals before and he's never won his group, right? I think that's actually what's interesting about Tom and Brian Shaw in this case is I feel like they are two of the most obvious positions to be in the finals because in their groups there's no one on earth in those groups that have a chance in beating those guys in a stone off, right? So even if Tom and Brian don't win their groups, they're going to the final. Those guys aren't finishing less than third. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, best strongman of all time. Um, I guess people do want to know that. They probably want my opinion on that because I haven't given it yet. So you can always tell who's wondering in the last few minutes, right? Um, Bill Kazmaier. If you ask me that again in the next 3 minutes, my answer will be Bill Kazmaier. If you ask me in 20 years, my answer will probably be Bill Kazmaier. 50 years after I'm gone and dead, and people have done things that Bill could never dream of, my answer will be Bill Kazmaier. Because I'm the same as every other human being alive. I have my own biases. We all have them, and we're not right. I'm not right. No one is right. We're all It's all an opinion. My opinion doesn't mean jack, but I love Bill Kazmaier. Um, so I think one of the craziest things about Bill in those days is again they didn't know what they were competing in. They literally showed up and were told, "This is what you're doing today, fellas." I think I think it's good. It's probably good that we don't do that now because more guys would be injured. It'd be more guys getting hurt left and right. And it's already a dangerous sport to start with. Um, but I do miss those times, and I do think it was exciting when we, as the fans and the competitors, tuned in without having any idea what was going to happen, and it was a big surprise. Um, you better be training your strength all around. You'd better be trying to get strong because you can't necessarily be trying to game the system and say, "Well, I'm gonna work on this event or I'm gonna work on this event." You just got to be ready to go for whatever is put in front of you. So that was pretty cool. Um, anyway, cool. They're being really slow getting us some more things here. Um, so Manuel only got 3 reps in. I don't think that's a big surprise. I don't want to say anyone doesn't deserve to be there. And Laws and Liz have already commented way more than I need to rehash anything. I don't want to run anyone down. Um, but I don't think anyone can be all that surprised that Manuel only managed 3 reps. Um, let's see here. We're waiting for results for Stoltman and Ferris here. Um, uh, well, I mean, I'm not doing. Gee, I appreciate that you appreciate it, but I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing this because I was going to be sitting here in front of the computer pressing F5 all day watching the results anyway. So I'm streaming this live because I didn't want to be alone and I wanted some company. Um, how much do I bench? Landon, if I went into the gym right now and tried to max, which I would not do a 1 rep max because I'm way too hurt and injured, it would I'd better have some good spotters if I tried that. Um, but heal up and get a good thing. I could probably still do. I could probably still do 430 these days. I imagine I could get. I imagine I could press 430 once. Um, right now, I probably wouldn't put more than 380 on the bar because I'd be scared that I would get hurt. I don't just have one bad shoulder. I've got two bad shoulders and a ton of problems in my hands and some nerve damage. Um, my best press of all time isn't that much higher than that. I talked about this earlier. I don't know exactly what it was. I don't really know my PRs. I stopped carrying a long time ago. It was important to me when I was younger, but then I stopped caring. Um, I'm guessing if I trained for it and I was serious about training for it, I might have I might have been able to get to a 465 or a 470 bench when I was 3 years ago, and if I was focused on it. My max lifts, the weight totals are high in comparison to the average guy walking around, but they're not very impressive to me because I know how much I lifted when I was smaller. I'm much more proud of the lifts I had when I was younger and lighter, um, because unlike what we talk about with the World Strongest Man, where it seems like the biggest dudes always freaking win, um, I do believe in, you know, pound for pound strength and things of that nature. And undoubtedly, in my athletic prime and strength, I was always strongest at body weights of like 135 to 160. Once I got over 160 pounds, I think, did my strength increase? Yes, but not proportionally to my body weight. My weight has continued to go this way, and my lifts have started to, plateau and level off. So I think I could probably walk around 35 pounds lighter and probably maintain strength if I tried to. Worst injury I've sustained. Well, it goes back to actually I was going to say bench that we were talking about earlier because I broke some ribs benching before, but no, that's not the worst. We were doing overhead presses in a squat racks in high school, and one time my shoulder gave out while I had weight pressed overhead. The bar came down right on top of my freaking skull and knocked me unconscious. Fortunately, the squat rack caught the weight. Um, it was a pretty bad injury, but it could have been a whole lot worse. I don't freaking know what would have happened had the squat rack not been there or caught the weight. Come on, tell us about Stoltman and Ferris. Oh, dun 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 dun. No, I still follow Eddie and Thor. Um, but I did not really enjoy. I watched the boxing match too. Sad to say. Um, I didn't like them two feuding like that. I didn't like the years long fight between them, the feuds, and I didn't like fans turning against one another. I thought that was a black eye on the sport of strongman. It really kind of hurt my heart. I didn't enjoy that time. Um, I still follow them. I still respect both of them, but I wish none of that stuff had ever happened. What was the question? Who would take in their prime, Shaw or Big Z? Um, you'd have to tell me which event. Um, asking to choose between Brian Shaw and Big Z in their primes is kind of like asking to choose between um, which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle is better. I like them all. Uh, Donatello. No, no, no. I take that back. Leonardo. What am I saying? Why would I not pick Michelangelo? But then that's dumb. Raphael has to be the winner, doesn't it? Doesn't it kind of? No, I was right when I said Leonardo. Um, I, I like them both. I like them all. There are certain events that I would pick Brian at. There are certain events that I would pick Big Z at. Um, what do you mean? I can't answer a simple question. I've been answering questions all along, but I also know that not all questions are black and white. And I'm also not pompous Harry Smith. I'm also not an arrogant schmuck. A lot of people believe that if you have an opinion, you're 100% right, and anyone that doesn't agree with you should be mocked and ridiculed. We've been through this. I don't think that way. I don't think that way. I uh, I have very strong opinions, but I also realize it's just that. It's a freaking opinion, and it's no more valuable than anyone else's. If you ask me who would win more World's Strongest Man competitions in their prime, it's still a very, very hard question. Um, I would probably say Zadrunas, but would I be confident saying Zadrunas? No, and I don't think anyone can be or should be. Those guys are pretty freaking evenly matched. It just refreshed, Auntie. I see it, and I'm gonna share the results right now. They're both amazing, and that's the bottom line. Okay, so in the second event, Tom with back-to-back wins. Wow, is that right? Is that right? Yes, it is, because he's the only one that completed all 5 reps. So he's the only one in his group that picked up the 380. That's actually surprising to me. Um, but if you're Tom, you're happy now, right? You're happy now, right? Because you're sitting in a good place. You're sitting in a really good place. Kevin Ferris is in second overall. Again, I expected him to move on, so that's good for my predictions anyway. And he managed 4 reps at 45 seconds, which I think is the third best time. Yeah, he got 4 points in this event. Gabe, the world's strongest Canadian, or the world's strongest Canadian, Canada's strongest. Holy crap! Canada's strongest man this year uh, had second in this event, putting up 4 reps in 6 seconds faster than Ferris managed, and Ivar's only got 3 points here. Um, so that puts Gabe and Ivar's deadlocked for third place right now in the second, and that's where they'll be going into day two. So we know what day two looks like for Group One right now. And if you're Tom, you gotta like this. You gotta like this if you're Tom. Um, let's see here. Exactly how Elliot thought the things would go. Like even to the times. Like I mean, did you thought that Kevin was going to finish the loading race in 43:36 and manage 4 reps on the ladder in 45:89? Because if so, Elliot, I have another question for you, which is, what 6 numbers do you feel most lucky about right now? And hold on, because let me make a note of them. I'm looking for Elliot's 6 lucky numbers. And then we're going to pause the stream, and I'm going to be back in about 30 minutes because I need to run to the gas station. So come on, Elliot, don't let me down. Which 6 numbers do you feel the best about? Um, okay, I'm being a bit of a jerk. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. And if you would have asked me how I thought day one was going to go for these guys too, that is pretty much what I expected for Group One. Um, so now we have to do everything that we just did for Group One for Group Two. And it only took us an hour and 8 minutes for World's Strongest Man to get his results for the deadlift ladder on Group One. So at this pace, 5 hours from now, we'll be wrapping things up. There is a spreadsheet, Gary. You're looking at it right now. It's on the World's Strongest Man site, and then there's also the Strongman Archive. And this is basically the Strongman Archive is what Liz and Laws used to do their content for us last year, which again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Not looking to lose you guys to Laws and Liz or Terry or any of those guys, but big shout out to them. And Laws and Liz, yes, my favorite strongman channel. I love what they do. They do 2 a day for right now, and the finals will do 3 a day. So if you look at the screen right now, it'll show like on on Tuesday the 24th, which I think is coming up soon. Oh, that's today. They're going to do the loading race and the deadlift ladder. Tomorrow we're looking at car walk and log lift. Thursday you got the wrecking ball hold and the stone off, right? And then Saturday we're going to kick it off with the Giants medley, then deadlift for reps. Then we got the Flintstone lift. And then we'll finish the World's Strongest Man on Sunday with the bus pull, the power stairs, and the Atlas stones, which apparently have to be a part of every single World's Strongest Man, I guess, in perpetuity for the future of forever now. Um, and I like the Atlas stones. I guess everyone likes them, but I, I would like a little more variety. What do you guys think? I'd like to see a little more variety at WSM. Um, on events 2 through 5 under 40 seconds. Um, oh, so you're Hooper the fastest overall. Well, I actually said that he might be fastest overall. So I can't really um, say that's wrong. All 5 in under 40 seconds. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Um, but he could because again he has advantages here. No suits, no straps, and he already is a fast guy with good endurance. So I don't think that's a crazy pick, Vanilla. I don't. Um, but but that's a crazy time even with those advantages. If he can get all 5 in under 40 seconds, then I'm going to say that this isn't just a hype train. This kid is the real deal, and he might freaking be the world's strongest man. Or if he's not, then he's a year or two away. If he can manage that, I'd be blown away. I would be blown away. I'm not going to sell anyone short. At the end of the day, I'm a fan of the sport and I'm a fan of these guys, and I like watching them. Um, I, whatever happens, happens. These guys are impressive. They deserve our respect. They got mine. Do I think this is Eddie's last World's Strongest Man? Um, uh, I must be missing something here. Yeah, like the name Eddie, I'm like, hold on, is there some guy I'm totally disrespecting by not knowing who we're talking? Um, was that a joking comment, or um, or like, are you asking? Are like, is it a real question? Um, uh, I'm not 4'11". I'm at least 5'2". We've been through this. What a jerk. I'm just joking. I could care less. Uh, I could be 3'7". I don't care. I still like me. Um, so I don't know. I don't want to make fun of Joe because they might be goofing off. If it's a real question, then I don't think this will be Eddie's last World Strongest Man because I think he'll continue to come to them and harass Brian for a while, and then when Brian's gone, he might come to them and harass some of the other guys. He'll keep going until there's no one left to bother or or harass or you know little brother or big brother type thing. So he'll keep coming to the World's Strongest Man for a while, I think. Um, but if we're asking if this is the last one that he's going to compete in, then this will probably be the last one that he competes in where he's not well hydrated. Like if he doesn't do well this year, we'll probably never see Eddie compete in again unless he comes well hydrated and able to have like a couple gallon milk jugs full of water hanging from his head. Put them on a big gold chain, fill these milk jugs up with water, and then that will be his bling. And then he can just tilt them back and make sure he gets the power of the water. And if Eddie can stay hydrated, no, he's got another good 8, 9, 10 world's strongest mans in front of him for sure. Minimum. Minimum. That's how I see it. Um, uh, Anyway, um, all right, we're just having fun here, guys. And if I say anything that anyone has their feelings hurt about, I do apologize. I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. I just like to goof off. Um, so anyone can say anything negative they want to me too, except talk about me being short. That's unacceptable. Whoever said something about me being 4 foot 11, again, one more comment like that, and you're banned immediately. If you say 4'7", that's acceptable, but don't be saying I'm 4'11". Don't. Um, all right. Anything for group 2 yet? Nothing for group 2 yet. Yeah, for sure. Most definitely that's what Janasha did. I think if Eddie was fully hydrated, he would probably beat the hell out of Thanos. That's what I think. You give me a well hydrated Eddie versus Thanos, and I'm taking Eddie all day long. Now, on the other hand, if you deprive Eddie of that water, then I think even Aquaman could beat him. You see what I did there? Aquaman? That was stupid and lame. Sorry. We're a couple hours into this thing and about 5 hours of streaming so far today, so the jokes, the content, they get worse as things go on. Um, I don't believe so. Scarface or three Scarfrexes, three. No, but if there was a way to watch the stream, I would be watching it, and you guys wouldn't be getting to hang out with me right now, and that would be terrible because I know everyone's having a great time. Hanging out with me is the most fun a person can do sober. I'm sure of it. Um, do 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 do. World's strongest man is not fan friendly. Won't give us results when we want them. I want to believe that I was just singing in my head, and that was actually not out loud. I'm a bit worried now. Um, Crap. Okay, so here's a question. Everyone knows that, well, not everyone knows. Some of you may know that Brian Shaw sponsors Gabe Pena. Now, if Gabe makes the final and Brian doesn't, will that mean more money for Gabe going forward and a bigger endorsement deal from Brian Shaw? Or would it create a rift between them? Or is Brian just simply too nice of a guy to have a rift with anyone? It is not a Bud Light. It is a Diet Dr. Pepper. Uh, I am totally square. I am totally boring. I mentioned this earlier. You probably weren't around for it, but I've actually never had alcohol in my life. Not one sip. Um, I'm not wagging a finger at people who do. I'm not saying anything bad about it. Maybe that makes me incredibly boring, but alcohol is not for me. Someone called me Jason. It's Jace. Jace. The only one who can call me Jason is my mother, and she's no longer with us. So, uh, all right, where we at? There's no Y in Jace because nobody would say Y to that. The answer is the you don't ask why Jace because everyone knows it's Jace because it's Jace. So it's like, how do I know alcohol isn't for me? I think that's what Dave is asking. You're asking about alcohol and how do I know it's not for me? I might like it. I don't know. But I shared this earlier. I got a little personal. Probably shared much overshared, said stuff I shouldn't have. I'm gonna do it again because you asked. Uh, my father was one of those drinking guys, and he wasn't a nice drunk. He was a very, very not nice drunk. And And I do have a bit of an addictive personality. Everything I do in excess. No, I've never touched alcohol. I've never had a puff of a cigarette. Pretty clean cut lifestyle. Very borderline boring. Um, anyway, the alcohol is specifically because of my dad. Um, I I always worried, like, if I did go down that road, if I would basically become him. And I thought the best way to make sure that the answer to that was no was to never touch it. So I don't. Uh, PRs for which list, David? Like the main things everyone cares about: bench, squat, and deadlift. Uh, so I again, most people have these memorized. I don't because I don't care. Um, so I'll tell you what I remember doing, which may not actually be my PR, and what I think I could do really, but I haven't done it in a long time. Uh, bench 450, squat 550, deadlift 575, 580. PCP. Like if I was going to become a primary care physician, I think I would do that in excess too. I would be the best family doctor you'd ever seen, owned you. I would be the best primary care physician you could have. So hopefully I'd be in your network and you could come see to me, on your insurance plan. That'd be great. So, and I believe I just owned you. So anyway, favorite protein shake flavor? Isn't it much better to be a fan of that stuff nowadays than it used to be? I remember back when all protein flavors taste like cardboard. Um, but uh, but now they're pretty good. Um, I'm a chocolate holic, so everything chocolate is good. Um, but I don't know that chocolate protein stuff is the best. Probably strawberry. Probably strawberry. But again, some of those are good. Some of those are really good. It's definitely not like drinking protein from a decade plus ago. Back in the old days, it sucked. It didn't really matter which flavor you had; they all tasted the same. Uh oh. Uh oh. We're gonna go ahead and remove someone here. All right. So we got rid of that person. Um, See ya. Some people think they're clever, but they're not. Finally, we have some results coming in group two. Sweet. And look at that. Mark jumped out into first place. This is what I was talking about earlier, guys. They got to stop doing this for real. They got to stop giving these points out when not everybody's completed. It's dumb. It looks like, well, Mark went from last to first. Uh, Getting strawberry flavored. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh, true. Um, all right. Now they get Bobby Thompson that right. So now it looks like, hey, my pick earlier wasn't so bad. Bobby is going to go on, but I don't think he will. Um, so now I thought Bobby Thompson would do really well in this event, but I wasn't sure how well. But oh my goodness, the answer to that is very, very well. I can't remember who said earlier that Mitchell Hooper might get all five in less than 40, and I was like, well, that would be incredible. Bobby almost did that. Look at that. He moved those short little stubby legs of his and was only 2.5 seconds slower than getting that done. That is freaking nuts, man. Holy cow. That is a nice rally for Bobby Thompson. Of course, it's easy to say that when we don't know how anybody else in his group did, but I mean, I still feel like that's pretty dang good. We go back here. We only had one guy in Tom's group get all five. It was Tom himself, and it took 51.5 seconds. That's almost a full 10 seconds slower than Bobby. That's a good number put up by Bobby Thompson. I feel like that's a really good number, unless Tom sucked and Group One was just terrible. But then again, we all know that Group Two was the deadlift group anyway. That's not really that shocking, right? We all knew that Group Two was going to be pretty freaking amazing at this event, didn't we? So. Dun, 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 dun. Who is my prediction to win? Donald Trump. Not really. Uh, Martins Lisis. Well, let's not say that. Okay, that's a little bit. That is ridiculous and that is silly, Brian. There's no way that Martins is going to do less than 30 seconds, especially since half the field is going to do that. Let's make a really ridiculous prediction. Let's say Martins gets all 5 reps in and he does it in 16.4 seconds. Minus 10. Just barely needs more than a second for each one. Uh, Hook and rip. Sounds like surfing terms. Yeah, you guys keep saying there's another mass shooting, and I want to look into it, but I don't want to leave this. So um, I guess I'm going to look into it when this is over, and then have a bad mood the rest of the day. That's sad. I don't have an answer for you, David. I wish we'd get rid of groups. Should be heads up, everyone. I thought that was the other thing that hook and rip sounded like was a stoner term, but I thought I also covered that base when I said surfer, because maybe I'm a bit making stereotypes, but I still associate surfers with being stoners. I'm probably wrong. Mm, that sucks. I actually thought about moving to San Antonio. What do I think about Oberst? I think, um, I think if I give my opinions on Oberst, whether they're good or bad, it's going to be another one of those things. Robert Oberst himself is a controversial topic, because he's got those fans that are like, if you like the guy, there's going to be a certain group of people that can't stand you, right? If you don't like the guy, then of course his group is going to hate you. What I think about Robert Oberst is basically, I think he's a pretty entertaining fella. I think he's a very entertaining fella. I think he's a strong fella. I do not think he's an elite strongman. Is he better than me? Hell yes. Is he way stronger than me? Hell yes. Uh, is he an elite strongman? No. Is he one of the top 10 in the world? No. Is he one of the top 20 in the world? I don't think so. Is he one of the top 30 in the world? I still don't think so. Is he a super strong dude? Yes, he's a super strong dude. He's a super strong dude. But is he the best of the best? No. I don't know if that's true, Michael. Did he have the world record overhead, or was it the American log press record? I know he had the American log press record for a while. I didn't know if he had the world record for overhead press. If he did, kudos to him. That's amazing. But I think he's a super strong man. I think he's a super entertaining guy. Um, but he's not the elite of the sport. But there's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, like, like he's a professional and he's been in the world's strongest man and he has made finals and he's won events. You know, I might look at someone like if we weren't talking about that, I might look at someone like let's say football, and by football I mean American football. Um, I might say someone like James Laurinaitis, fantastic, fantastic linebacker, very very underrated. Sometimes led the league or was in the top in tackles, like in the top two or three. But no one would ever say that James Laurinaitis is one of the best football players or the best defenders ever. But it doesn't matter. He's still a really good person in the freaking NFL. So I feel like if even if you're bad, which I'm not saying Robert Oberst is, but I'm saying even if you're bad in the NFL, guess what? You're still freaking amazing, right? You could suck in the NFL and still be freaking amazing. Robert Oberst could suck and be in the World's Strongest Man, and he'd still be freaking amazing. And he didn't suck in World's Strongest Man. I just don't think he's elite. So, someone said earlier that I was dodging questions and didn't want to answer. I feel like that's a pretty suitable answer, and I don't think I dodged anything. But you guys debate amongst yourselves. Almost got these Group 2 results in. Almost got them in. Oh, Ryan Shaw and Mitchell Hooper. I'm a bit shocked that Constantine only managed 3 reps, guys. And again, everybody thought it was pretty much out of this group. It was probably going to be Shaw and Janasha going on. Um, I don't think people liked the fact that he only got 3 points there. Um, and if you're a Janasha fan, 3 points on the first thing, and now seeing he only managed 3 reps on the deadlift ladder. If you're a Janasha fan, you're not liking his chances very much right now, even if he's not hurt. Yeah, it is crazy hot, but I'm still expecting better performance than that. Let's I'll do that, Tom. Let's do that, but let's get Hooper and Shaw's results first. I don't want to go review the other stuff while we're waiting on the final 2 positions here. As soon as we get Hooper and Shaw, we'll go back and we'll do a rundown of Group 1's deadlift ladder and everyone's loading race finishes. Oh, no problem. I don't know if Hooper will be nuts, but I here's what I do predict. I predict Hooper does not get more points in the deadlift ladder than he got in the loading race. I feel very confident. I know some people are going to call me a hater. They're going to be all like, "You don't like the kid. You don't want to give new people a chance. I know I'm going to be a hater, but I'm sticking with it. It's my final answer. I do not believe that Mitchell Hooper gets more points in the deadlift ladder than he got in the loading race. It's not going to happen. You can say what you want about me. You can say I'm Mr. Negativity. I don't care. I'm sticking by it. And deal with it. If you don't like it, just deal with it. All right, but they do need to tell us the results, right? Right. Oh, I'm out of Diet Dr. Pepper. This is a bad situation. Oh boy. 7 points incoming. Just because you said that and because I said what I said, it's probably going to happen. There's going to be some kind of loophole that none of us knew about. We haven't read the official rule books. I've competed and don't even know them. And and somehow Mitchell is going to wind up getting more than 6 points. Um, and then I'm going to be like, what the? Uh, it's going to be funny. All right. Holy hell. Okay, I do need to repent for that. Um, but holy hell. Does that say what I think it says? This is where World's Strongest Man does one of those mistakes, right? And then they come back and then change it in a couple seconds later and we refresh and it's different. I did say that he was going to have the fastest time out of everyone, but 31:21. There's no way. There's like, okay, and I went over the reasons he was going to do well, right? I went over the advantages that he has. Um, oh my goodness. The only way that could be right is if he Bill Cosby'd some of the judges there and gave them some sort of drug, and then they woke up and they missed the first 2 reps and just started him at 0 on the third thing. Because there's no way you could get through all 5 of those in 31 seconds. Oh my gosh. And I don't know where Brian is because the way they've been doing this has been last to first. Based on the way they've been doing that, Brian should have went before Mitchell, so I'm not sure why we don't have Brian's time here. Um, but oh my goodness, gosh, Brian didn't even get all 5 reps. Brian, oh my gosh, we all knew that Brian is not the same deadlifter he was a few years ago. Since that injury, he just has not been the same guy. But if you asked me if he wasn't going to get all 5, I would not have predicted that. Um, now I'm shocked. I am shocked. Um, wow. See, guys, this is what I like, though. I like it when we're not predicting. I like it when we're not getting the guesses right. Because to me, this is when it's fun. This is when the sport is when it's at its best, when it comes with surprises. Um, but oh my gosh. Mitchell Hooper, 5 reps, 31 seconds. That is that is so freaking nuts. I feel like I'm grinning like I've got my first crush on some girl in junior high now. It's like oh, I I'm shocked. Um, God, I predicted a good time for that young fella, but I didn't predict 31 seconds. Oh man, wow. And Brian, I'm shocked that he only got 4 reps. I really am. I'm not surprised to see him in third place though. I said that when this started, I still kind of thought Brian might win um, his group, but I wasn't 100% sure on that. I wasn't even confident on it. I just thought he might because it's hard to bet against him when you look at the last 12 plus years. Um, but I still think he makes the final just because of the stone off heat. He'll do fine. Um, but I didn't think it was unrealistic to see Brian in second or third in this group with these events. I think the final looks better for him. But no matter how the final looks for him, I think if you're a Brian fan, and most people are, uh, this has to be a little concerning. You got to be a bit worried. If he could only get 4 reps and couldn't manage a 380 kg pull, you've got to wonder where he's at and what shape he is in and what that final is going to look like for him if he makes it there. Um, it's fair to ask those questions. In fact, it would be irresponsible not to ask those questions. So I think if you're a Brian Shaw fan, and again I had him on my podium, um, it's fair to look at that and be like, oh boy, oh boy. And then Gabe, he's picking up his 4 points in both rounds. He's doing the Martins Lises thing. Let's advance by just finishing third in every dang thing. That is actually pretty crazy. I mean, Artemond is making his opinions on Brian Shaw known pretty heavy. But his uh, his Shaw heckling aside, he brings up an interesting point. Um, if you look at that, not only did Brian just manage 4 reps, his 4th rep came at a slower time than Mitchell's 5th rep. Holy cow. Holy cow. Now, I don't know if that's a big letdown for Brian, a big congratulations to Mitchell. Like, I don't know, what is that? Is it a bigger knock on Brian or a bigger thumbs up to Hooper, or is it somewhere in the middle? But I do find that pretty wild to look at. That Mitchell got 5 reps in less time than it took Brian to get 4. That's oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I said earlier in the first half of this, there's no way Brian doesn't make the final. There's no way he gets beat in the stone off. I still believe there's no way he gets beat in the stone off. But I also didn't think there was any way he could finish less than third. Um, Brian better come back for the car walk. He better come back for the car walk tomorrow. He better have a hot start tomorrow. If he doesn't, I'll be changing my picks quickly. I'm in a little bit of shock right now. Happy for one fella, kind of sad for another. And I'm highlighting it. Apparently, I don't have my cursor on in my stream, so I'll get that fixed for the next stream so you guys can't see what I'm talking about. But what I'm highlighting here is happy for Mr. Hooper, a little bit sad for Mr. Brian Shaw. That's crazy. All right, so I did make a promise to someone earlier, right? I said after we get the results for Group 2, we'll go back and look at Group 1 and the loading race. Didn't I promise someone that? They probably already left, but I know I did. And even if it was only that one person, there's other people who want to know. So let's do it. Here we go, guys. Loading race results. Tom Stoltman won the loading race in his group with 6 points, 38.39 seconds. Ferris took second in the loading race, getting him 5 with 43. And Ivars put up a solid third place for 4, only a second behind Ferris. Because we're up here, we will look at their deadlift ladder. Tom with back-to-back wins. Tom put up 6 points there, a great time of 51.46. Although it doesn't look that great when we see what Hooper did in a minute. Kevin Ferris took third. He's up here in this place because of the way they do their things. It keeps it the overall. So Ferris is second overall, but he actually got a third place finish in the deadlift ladder. And Gabe had the second best deadlift ladder, getting him 5 points, locking him to a 2-place tie with Ivers for third. All right, loading race for group 2. I won't go over the deadlift ladder here because we spent so much time on this one. Unless you're tuning in right now, you already know, in which case pay attention. Okay, Hooper won the loading race, which means Hooper, in his first World's Strongest Man, in his first real major competition. I mean, yes, he's been competing, but no real major competitions. In the dude's first major competition, he comes out here and smokes 4-time World's Strongest Man and greats like Pena, Thompson, and Janasha, and puts up 6 points in both events. The kid is real. There is no one sitting here right now going, oh, he's all hype. Oh, it's all talk. Maybe you think he's overhyped. I feel like that, even that, if you think he was overhyped, that should be silenced by now. But even if you think that he's not the, like, even if you think he was a hype train, you can't be looking at it going and saying it's all talk. You've got to see why there was talk. You've got to see why there was excitement. You've got to see why some people were bragging about him now. You got to look at this and go, oh, wow. This kid's got something, right? It's a hell of a start. So Hooper wins the loading race. Brian Shaw finished second in the loading race, and Gabe finished third. Group 3, Alexi won the loading race. Adam Bishop took second, and Mika with a fine performance for third. Look at this, though. 2 seconds separating Bishop and Mika, 1 second separating Mika and Mitchell. So that was pretty tight. All right, group 4. Again, the anonymous Martins Lises. So he's not here. He must be there, but he's not everywhere because we have no picture of Martins. So where is Martins? Where in the world is Martins Lises? It doesn't really work. Sorry. But Martins did win the loading race, nabbing 6 points. Max Boudreau got himself 5 points. And now what I want to know is when I said where in the world is Martins, can anybody say what I was quoting or what that reference was from? Did anybody pick that reference up, or am I the only weirdo in the group that liked educational shows in the 90s? Okay, and then Pavlo picked himself up 4 points. And then the final group, the Elder Stoltzman. All right. Luke 5, and then Kelvin with the second place finish. Ethor taking the third there. To answer that question, Shaw did 4 really fast. Again, you could say that. You could say, hey, I think Shaw did this. I think you were also saying earlier, I think it was that same person, maybe not, that they wonder if Shaw only took second in the loading race because he was trying to be methodical. I think sometimes when you want to deny the results, especially about stuff like that, you're trying to advocate. You're trying to you're looking for confirmation bias. You're looking for reasons for your opinion and what you want to have happen to be the truth. I'm not saying it's wrong. It very well could be. But I think you're trying to convince yourself. Is it possible that Brian did 4 in 32 seconds and thought that would be good enough and stopped. Is it possible? Yes, it's possible. It's not likely, and the reason I think it's not likely is because Brian has to know that he was in that group with some amazing deadlifters. That was the talk of this thing before today happened, was the amazing deadlifting prowess of this group. I feel like if you're going to phone it in on an event, if you're Brian, who's also a very strategic guy and very intelligent about the way he goes about his planning, this is not. Yes, it was Carmen Sandiego. Uh, if this, where in the world is Martins Lisi's strongest man? Okay, so if you are Brian trying to be strategic, this was a bad event for Brian to try to be smart and assume that 4 reps is going to be safe and put himself in a good position, because he knows he's sharing that group with Gabe, who he trains with a ton. He knows he's sharing that group with Bobby Thompson, one of the greatest deadlifters in the world. He knows Janash is in that group, who's an amazing deadlifter in his own right, even though he didn't do well at all. We've got to figure out what happened there. Kind of wondering if that's a bad omen. Um, and then, even though Hooper's unknown, he's not unknown to any of these guys. These guys all studied up on their competition and looked into them, and they've seen the videos that we have seen and things of that nature. They know what this kid can do. So if you're Brian Shaw, is it possible that he took 4 reps at 30 seconds and said, yeah, I'm going to stop now because that's good? It's possible. If so, it was really bad strategy, because if I'm in this deadlifting group, I'm going balls out for all 5 reps because I might know that I need them. There's a lot of good deadlifters in that group. All right. Anyway, that's my response to you, Andres. Um, is it possible that Shaw did that on purpose? It's possible. Is it likely? No. And I don't think it happened. I think that what we're looking at there, 2 points for Brian Shaw, is his performance was 2 points for Brian Shaw. Um, it's a shot for me as a Brian Shaw fan, as someone I thought who had him safely into the final and even on my podium. But it's alarming. It's alarming. Before this happened, I talked about the same thing a lot of people have, which is Brian Shaw is not the same deadlifter he once was. Ever since he was injured, he has never been able to come back from that. Although he has looked better in the last like 12 to 18 months. Um, there were reasons to be encouraged, but this is not one of them. Not one of them at all. Yeah, Travis, I'll say the same thing. But is it possible? Yes, it's possible, but it's not likely. And it's the same kind of thing there, Travis, as far as saving it for the stone off. It's possible, but it doesn't make much sense. Going into going into this event, he was in second place. He did very, very well in the loading race. If I'm Brian and I know that I haven't had to rely on the stone off basically ever because I win my group outright every time, if you're Brian and you finish with 5 points after event one, you've got to still be thinking you got a chance to win your group like you always do. You're not planning to save yourself for the stone off. You're thinking at this point you don't need the stone off. So could he have done it? Yeah, but I just don't think it's very likely, guys. I don't think it's very likely. I think it's most likely that Brian Shaw just managed 4 reps. End of story. So that's what I'm saying. Okay. All right. All right. Now we wait for Group 3, the group that I actually think is the group of death. I know Group 2 was labeled the group of death, but for me, Group 3 is much scarier just because the competition is so tighter, so much tighter. Uh, Pedro asking if it was possible that Shaw ran out of time on the last rep. I guess here's what I'm saying. When people are saying, is it possible? Is it possible? We could say, is it possible to anything? Um, yes, it's possible. All of these things are possible. But it's not likely, guys. It's just not likely. This is one of those things. Brian Shaw is interesting. I love him. Everyone loves Brian Shaw. Okay, it is what it is. Um, but this is one of those things where we get into where it's almost hard to talk about Brian Shaw, especially if he doesn't do well, because if you acknowledge that Brian didn't do well at something, the world acts like you must hate Brian Shaw. You've got a bone to pick. It's personal. It's not the case. I will address what you just said. Is it possible that he only managed four and ran out of time? Yeah, yeah, it's possible. Yes, it's possible. But we're speculating, and we're speculating because we want the guy to do well. We like the story, we like the person, blah blah blah. But even if that's the case, here's the bad side to that, Pedro. If Brian ran out of time, and that's why he only got four reps, that's not a good sign. Because if you look, four reps at 32 seconds is not bad. That's pretty good. And that would have meant that he had almost a full minute to get that fifth rep up. Is he fast between implements? No. Is he a sprinting guy? No. Is he? You can just put all these things against him, but at the same time, do we anticipate that it would take Brian nearly 40 freaking seconds to lift that bar? I would say no. And if you anticipate that it took him nearly 40 seconds to lift that bar, and you're right, that's also not a good sign. That's probably not any better than only managing the four reps, because that tells that he's having woeful struggle. Woeful struggle. And if it's that hard, that's probably not good. And it's probably better if he did four reps and called it quits than if he tried to get that fifth and couldn't do it, because that would mean he was well spent. And I do agree with that. We're doing speculating here. I don't know. I don't know. But I am telling you, uh, I'm trying to not speak like a fan of people. I'm trying to speak like a fan of the sport and trying to look at the stuff and say what logically makes the most sense. So yeah, all of the stuff that we've thrown out is possible, but I just don't think they're very likely. So that's I don't know. I'll wait for the next Brian Shaw question and then I'll answer it in a minute because I'm sure another one is coming, especially when it's about why he only had four reps or why he only got 2 points. Um, but the truth is, none of us know. And this is why World's Strongest Man needs to get their act together. They need to be more fan friendly, and we need to watch so that we don't have to sit here and guess. This guessing stuff sucks. But I think it's probably most likely, without us having the facts, that the fact is Brian just finished fifth in that event. Sucks for him. Sucks for his fans, but is what it is. How much time between result updates? Tony asking us how much time, or asking us how much time or what World's Strongest Man does or why they do it or anything of that. Basically, asking any questions about the WSM organization or their events it's an exercise in futility. We don't know. We can't know because you can't predict anything World's Strongest Man does, nor can you answer why they do anything they do. We don't know, man. It took them over an hour to get us results for Group One's deadlift ladder. It took 20 minutes for us to get through Group Two. So make of that what you will. All right. Two events on day one. So we've got 40% done with event two. We've got three groups left to go, and then we get to stop day one. And I guess I could take a couple sick days from work. Do you guys want to hang out with me tomorrow and the next day to do some more of these? Should I use my sick time at work to hang out with you guys? As a matter of fact, Da Vinci, we can. We can see the Group 1 deadlift ladder. Tom, first. Gabe, second. Kevin Ferris, third. Ivar's fourth. Andy Black, fifth. And Manuel, sixth. Um, Thomas, man, Tom is doing well. Tom is doing well. If I take the next 2 days off to do this with you guys, I may not have a job anymore. So we'll see how much you actually like like this channel and these streams, because I may be relying on you guys to eat if I do that. Um, but I think I do feel a cough coming on. So um, I think I'll take the next couple days off and do this with you guys. And man, I hope my boss doesn't decide to tune in. So uh, if you see me wearing a shirt on Saturday during the finals that says "We'll code for food" or "We'll fix your computer for bread," then you know what happened. Um, um, I'm not going to get into the Luke audio again. I've talked about it multiple times. Um, go back and watch the earlier stream from today, or watch the way this one started. Um, I could stream while at work, but I couldn't stream while at work, if you know what I mean. Could I sit and watch YouTube while I'm at work? Yes. Could I sit here and talk to you guys like this, or run the stream, or have these things showing while no, I couldn't do that. This requires attention, unless you just want me to sit here in silence with you guys, which that doesn't sound like much of a video. Um, yeah, Johnny Depp. Yeah, sure. Um, I know that, Mackenzie, and I'm not beating you up for it. I'm just saying I don't want to keep getting into it. It's a negative topic. It has negative energy. It's not much fun. And I do have a completely different take on it than a lot of people do. If you're interested, I do encourage you to go to the first few minutes of this one. I think I talked about it then. I think I could be wrong, but if not, I know we covered it a couple times in the first video. And I would, if you want an interesting take, I'd say take it. But I don't want to get into it. But I'll just say that I think the only thing I will say about it is this. And if you want more depth, go watch the other videos. But I would just say that um, I think if we're spending too much time wondering about who's in what group, the athletes have the wrong mindset. There's no reason to worry about who's in your group. You got to go out there feeling like it doesn't matter who's in your group, because they're not as good as you. Well, let's take a look, Pedro, shall we? Eh, not not a ton. Let's see if Strongman archives any different. No, just those. Appreciate that though. Um, all right, so Gregor, now Gregor Szymanski only got 2 reps. Man, Gregor's finished last on the first event, only getting 2 reps in this one. I think Gregor's he's toast. Um, I was paying attention, guys. I was answering their questions. I can't answer everybody's questions and reload the entire time. I'm not the greatest multitasker in the world. I'm the shortest person in the world. Um, that's fine. Anyway, uh, yeah, that's not going to cut it, probably. Although this group isn't quite the deadlifting group that Group 3 is, it's still a good one though, although it's not as good as Group 3 or Group 2. It is Group 3, Jace. Oh, you're right. Okay. Now this isn't going to get it done. I'm joking. I'm not joking about it not getting it done, but I don't think that 4 reps at 41 seconds is bad. If he was in group 2, yeah, that would be problematic. In this group, it may not be that bad. Um, he could still get third place with that. I'm not saying that he could easily finish. He could easily finish in fifth too, and beat only Gregor. But I do think that 4 reps at 41 seconds in this group is potentially good enough for a third place finish. Can I pat my head and rub my belly? No, but I can pat some other things and rub some other things, but I'm not going to. At least not on here. Let me create an OnlyFans channel first, and then we can see what we can pat and rub. I talked earlier about my faith. True statement. I'm actually a licensed minister, so some of the jokes I'm making on here I probably should not be making. Um, but I'm trying to have fun, trying to have a good time, right? Okay, anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like 4 reps at 41 seconds in this heat is good enough for anywhere between third and fifth place. It could be as good as third. I don't see it knocking down a first or a second. Um, it could be as potentially as bad as fifth. But that's what makes Group 3 so exciting. Is it's so hard to say how these guys are going to finish and where they're going to finish because some of these guys are so closely aligned. And I feel like 5 of these guys are capable of completing all 5 reps for sure. I also wouldn't be surprised if 2 or 3 of them didn't complete all 5 reps. So kind of depends on what game they're bringing today, you know. All right, Mika. Look at there. Mika only got 2 reps, just like Gregor's. So right off the bat, that means that 6, 5, 4, 3. As laughable as it is, Rob can do no worse than 3 points here. All he needs is a slight slip up by one to the final, and again, it's a top 3 finish. So, um, like I said, it's interesting. It's hard to predict. It's hard to call. Sometimes we are so sure about these things, but there's a big difference between doing this on paper and them going out there and competing in real life, right? All right, so there's Trey. He did get the 5 reps. Someone's screen loaded a little bit quicker than mine. But yeah, but not the best time, 59 seconds. But it doesn't matter. If you got the 5th rep, it could take you a minute and 59 hundredths of a second or 99 hundredths of a second. 1:14.99. It's still good enough to beat the 4th reps in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter how fast those reps came if you manage an extra rep. Um, so that's not that surprising. But I actually thought that Trey would probably win this group in this event. So, but Alexi could do well. Adam Bishop could do well. All 3 of those guys are capable of winning this. So we'll see. We'll see. We're just waiting on Novikov and Bishop now. And if I'm Alexi at this, maybe I don't even go for the win. Maybe he could probably get more than he can probably get 5 in less than 59 seconds, but maybe you don't. Maybe you won the first event. Maybe you simply come out here and take a nice relaxed pace. Don't even run through the first 2 or 3 4 reps. Maybe pace yourself. Go out there and say, okay, I will do all 5 reps. Or, get the 4 done faster than Rob. You could also go for that. That wouldn't be a bad strategy. Maximize your points. But if you want to try to lock up a second, you're still competing against Adam, basically. There's a couple different ways Alexi could play this, really. He could go out there and smash 4 reps quick and stop, or he could go out there and say, I'm going to get all 5, but I've got a minute and 15 seconds to work with, so I've got 15 seconds to do each one of these. I'm not going to run through any of them. I'm going to treat the first rep as hard as I do the first rep, or the last rep. Well, I don't necessarily agree that Alexi doesn't calculate. I think Alexi is very calculating. Alexi is super calculating. He's an attacker. One of the things that's different between Alexi and Brian is Brian thinks everything, but he maybe overthinks things. Alexi is pretty calculating, but he's also just like, I'm going to go. I'm going to go. Alexi still has that bull in a china shop attack mentality. And I think Brian had that when he was younger, but I don't think he has it anymore. Now, that might be a good point. That might be a good point. That's a very good point. Very good point. He may not want to put himself in that position. So he may just say, "Hey, I'm gonna try to win this so that I win my group and I don't have to worry about anything else." So I think that's a very fair point. I think that's very good. Um, and maybe my strategy that I just gave him is a bad strategy then, because he maybe he wants to eliminate all possibility of being in a stone off. So he just flies. We'll see. Martins. My favorite to win is Martins. Well, come on, World's Strongest Man. Come on. Let's click over to Strongman Archives. Nope, nothing there different either. Thought maybe they'd give us some different results. I'm watching a lot of the discussions in the chat that I'm not responding to, and even when I'm not responding, I'm entertained. So, Conrad, we will look at the other groups, but I don't like to leave one group for another while we're getting results incoming. So basically, when we have all 6 results, then we'll go back and do some review. But when the results are coming in, I kind of like to stay here. All right, so Adam, bam, he made Trey look, well, not bad. Let's say very, very, very human. Um, so, are you talking about one of those tier lists, like with the S for the super group and the A, B, C, D that everybody likes to do on these YouTube channels? Those things? Is that what you're talking about? If that's what you're talking about, I'm game. I think those videos are terrible and stupid, but I'm terrible and stupid, so it seems like something I could excel in. Um, so uh, I'll do it. We'll do one of those, and we'll see how many people I can piss off with that video, because that sounds like a good video to make a lot of people mad. So um, we'll do that, and I'll have fun dragging, little transparent images of Brian and Zadrunas around the screen. All right, so Alexi, looky there, he did attack, and he snuck by Bish by 2 seconds. So we have, look at this, guys. I want to talk about something real quick before we go back and look at this. We're through 3 groups, right? Look at this, guys. It's pretty cool. In group 1, Tom won the first event, and Tom won the second event. In group 2, Mitchell won the first event, and Mitchell won the second event. In group 3, Alexi won the first event, and Alexi won the second event. So through 3 events so far, guys, those first seeds, even though they're not the seed, definitely as in the case of Mitchell Hooper, but that first person, they are going out there with the exact mindset that I said. It doesn't matter who you put me in there with. I'm here to dominate. These people are putting a stamp on their performances. They're saying, "Hey, I am here, and if you don't want me in the final, or you think you have any chance this year, you'd better put me out now." That's 2 events so far, and so far the person who wins the first event has won the second. That is crazy. And I mean, with everything going on right now, I think we all feel pretty good for Alexi, right? So that's pretty cool. Bravo, Alexi. All right, so I said to go back and review, so let's do that. All right, Group 1. Currently, I'm not going to go through each one because there's a previous video out there for the loading race. You can go check that out. So we're just going to talk about points leads. Right now, Thomas in first place overall in Group 1 with 12. Kevin Ferris is in second with 9. And then Gabe and Ivars are tied for third with 7 points apiece. And I'll give you just a second to pause here to look at their times and their reps on the ladder. All right, Group 2. Mitchell Hooper is in first overall with 12 points. Gabe Pena is in second overall with 8 points. Brian Shaw and Bobby Thompson are deadlocked with 7 for third place. Group 3, which we just stared at, Alexi, first overall with 12. Adam Bishop with 2 second place finishes, giving him 10. And then Trey is in third by himself, which I think in the other 2 groups, there's a 2-way tie for third. So, all right. Group 4, Lises, Boudreaux, Pavlo. Only 1 event down so far. Group 5, Stoltman, Kelvin, Ethor. And Evan had to withdraw. So right off the bat, I can tell you this. I'm not feeling very good about my podium. I'm not feeling very good about the people that I think we're going to advance to the finals. And while that would make a lot of people be like, "Oh man," because they're voting for what they want and I'm voting for what I think, this is actually very exciting to me. I don't care if my predictions are right or wrong. I don't care one bit. And while I wished I could watch it, and I kind of want to watch it even more when I'm being wrong to find out what is actually happening, but I like the fact that my predictions seemingly aren't that great. It's exciting. It's exciting. Evan had to withdraw because of problems with the heat. We don't know how bad as of yet. Let's take a look real quick. Let's see if we can get some more information. See if there's anything on the news here. Okay, nothing there. In a minute, I'll try to go out to Facebook and see if I can get some more information. Unless someone else wants to run it down. So now we wait for Martins, who again, he's not here because his photo is gone, but he is there, but he can't be everywhere because he's not here. Well, I'm a huge fan of Kaz. He's my favorite strongman of all time, so of course I'd say he could and would do well against those today. But the truth is, none of us know. None of us know. Like, it's actually a question I wanted to ask Brian on his channel, see if he would give us an honest opinion or not, and then Laws on his channel. And so probably one that we are going to tackle. We're going to actually tackle that question, that age-old question of the best and who would be better if they were competing amongst one another. We're going to look at that several times. But of course, I admit I'm biased. There's not a person on the planet who's not biased. What comes down to is, are you willing to admit your bias? can you confront your bias? Can you look at it and say this there? I can. I have no problem with that. Kaz is my favorite strongman of all time. I'm definitely biased. My reviews will go accordingly. I'm aware of that. But I think when you know that you're biased, you can also check it in some ways. Um, so so I can challenge myself. I can realize, oh well, here's where you're coming from. You're coming from as a fan. Let's remove subjectivity and look at it objectively instead. That means that I believe, since Kaz was so ahead of his time, was a once of a lifetime athlete, really. I think if you put him in the modern day world, gave him the same training, let him know what events to prepare for months in advance, gave him access to today's nutrition, let him learn from other people in the past, like people have learned from him. Do I think he would still compete today? Heck yes. Do I think he could win today? Heck yes. I'm also biased, right? Um, I did say earlier that I think if you took Kaz and made him compete today, giving him the same, not making him act like he was still training in the 80s, but give him the same training and prep that everyone has today, I think that he would be more successful today than Brian would be if you put Brian in his timeline and subjected him to that. But we're also splitting hairs here. I would also admit that no matter how you look at this, I still believe that when you're the best of the best and you're the best of the world, um, that's the fact of the matter. You're the best of the world. It doesn't matter who your peers are. You're going to kick your peers' butts. But that's when it gets interesting. When you take the butt kicker and put it against another butt kicker and put it another against another butt kicker. So someone gave us a suggestion earlier. Thomas said, "Hey, why don't we do an all-time world's strongest man in a final on podium?" And we're going to do it. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be some stark debate. It's going to be interesting. Lots of arguments. But it would be great if you could see like Big Z versus Shaw versus Kazmaier versus Pujanowski versus you take all these guys and you stick them all where they're not competing against the the best of the best of their day, but the best of the best of every day, and see who the best of the best is. It'd be so much fun. I don't think they're stupid questions. I think that they're questions that can't be answered, but they're fun to speculate on. They're fun to speculate on, but you have to acknowledge that that's what you're doing. We're speculating. We don't know. And how is Tom doing? Tom is doing great. 2 wins for him so far. First in the loading race, first in the deadlift ladder. Yeah, I don't think those are dumb questions at all. But I just think you have to start by being intellectually honest, and you have to have some integrity and admit that you're discussing things that there's no right or wrong answer to. And you're just having a fun debate, a fun conversation. But you can't go into it like anyone who doesn't arrive at this conclusion is dumb. It's opinion. These are not facts. Novikov, much like Tom, doing great, 2 first place finishes. Same thing with, believe it or not, Mitchell Hooper. So if Group 4 goes out there and does the same thing, if Martins comes out there and wins the deadlift ladder, which he could do, because you know Martins can win every event or finish second or finish third in every event. But if he does that, so far, if you won an event, you win everything. And then if Luke can come out there and do the same thing in the deadlift ladder, wouldn't that be kind of interesting? If at the end of the day, every person in every group who's the group leader won both events. That'd be pretty cool. Well, I'll tell you what, Maskoff. You can say it's not fun, and I can still maintain that it is fun. You can say wasting time with nonsense questions, but newsflash here. You're wasting time right now by watching this video. We're all wasting time. I'm wasting my time doing this stream. You're wasting time by sitting here. What we're doing is not important. This is a waste of time. Leisure activities are a complete waste of time. Following sports is a waste of time. By definition, being a fan of sports is a waste of time. I still enjoy it. Obviously, so do you. So do these other people. So you can rip on people and say, well, you shouldn't be doing that, or you're whatever. That's fine. You can have that opinion. But some of us want to talk about it, and we will. And if you don't want to, then don't be a part of the conversation. But you don't have to be a killjoy and act like everyone else should just stop talking about it because you don't enjoy it. We weren't put in this world to make sure that every activity Mask Off is a part of he enjoys. You could be a part of it. You can not be a part of it. Either way, it's awesome. I'm not ripping on you. I'm not being mean to you. I'm simply saying why you got to be a killjoy. If everyone else enjoys it, let us enjoy it. If you don't, that's cool. Find something else you enjoy. But by definition, being a fan of sports is a waste of time. None of us need these leisure activities. None of us need to sit here and watch World's Strongest Man. But we do it because we enjoy it, not because it's important, not because it makes a ton of sense. I'll come down off of my pulpit now. So, I don't really consider it a hater. Those are just the types of comments that I get off on. It's like we all are like, hey, you're doing this. Hey, you're again, to use the exact phrase, you're wasting your time, or you're doing. But I'm not saying he's wrong. Of course, it's a waste of time. But that's what we're doing right now. We're all wasting time. That's what watching a movie is. That's what uh, doing things that aren't like, if I'm not, to me, the only things that we can do that aren't wasting time are earning income to support our families, spending quality time with our family and friends, the people who mean something to us. So investing in our own lives or our own finances, or investing in the lives of the people that we care about. Other than that, pretty much everything we do is a waste of time. And I'm okay with that, because life would suck and be pretty dang boring if everything we did had a point. It's the things that are a waste of time that are most entertaining to us. That's an escape from reality. It's escape from responsibilities, right? Again, Mask Off, I heard your opinion. I heard it's a waste of time. I heard you think that. I heard that you think it's dumb. It's your opinion. I get that too. I didn't say he's wrong. I didn't say it's wrong. It can be a waste of time, and plenty of people enjoy things that are a waste of time. Plenty of people enjoy things that are a waste of time. I'm going to go see Top Gun Maverick on Friday. That's a waste of time, but I'm awfully looking forward to it. And I'm not getting drawn in. You guys see, this is where the track thing is getting funny. You guys are acting like I'm triggered or whatever. I'm not. I'm explaining. I have no problem with Maskoff thinking that. I have a problem with him saying that we shouldn't do it and no one wants to hear it. That's not true. If you want to do it, cool. If you don't want to do it, then don't. And yes, guys today are stronger. Guys today are stronger. That's why I have said over and over and over. And you say, look at the weights and stuff. I've said that you take that into account. You do that. To act, and I started this, if you watch the first stream, I talked about how, even though I'm a big Kaz fan and I think Kaz is the greatest strongman of all time, I've even checked myself and said, because sports evolve and athletes evolve and these things happen and change, I acknowledged, out of my own mouth that Kaz would probably get beat by a lot of these guys today. But that's because things happen, things change, things evolve. It does not mean, though, that Kaz is not the same caliber athlete or anything. There are advantages that come along, and these athletes today get to take advantage of those advantages. I happen to believe that if you were really good once upon a time, you can be really good in just about any time if you still have the same work ethic, if you still have the same opportunities, if you still have the same advantages around you. Dun, 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 dun. Recency bias is a problem. Yes, that's true, Sofa King. But just like I mentioned this earlier too, and again, I'm biased and like the old thing. We also see the people of yesteryear higher and mightier than they were. All sports change. There's not a sport in the world that doesn't change. There's not a sport in the world that doesn't evolve. But for many of us, Babe Ruth will always be the greatest baseball player of all time, even though none of us ever saw him play. Many of our parents never saw him play. Michael Jordan will be the greatest basketball player of all time. 50 years from now, they'll still say MJ is the greatest. 100 years from now, they'll still say he's the greatest. You could pick any sport, and whoever is number one, once they get to a certain lure where the legend surpasses the person, it becomes very hard to take them off. And in my heart, because of my own bias, which I'm honest about, not trying to dodge, Kaz is my hero. He's my number one guy. It's hard to take him off of that pedestal. He's the number one guy. He will always be the number one guy to me. Is that true? Probably not. Is it fair? Definitely not. But I do think it's an interesting discussion. Come on, World's Strongest Man. Give us some results, yo. Is Strongman Archive doing any better, guys? Let's find out. It is not. Look at the picture of Martins. Look at Martins. Can you guys see him? I'm blocking him, aren't I? I'm blocking the picture of Martins. Can I move that? Whoop. There's Martins. He's not quite as handsome as me, so we'll cover Martins up again. But that's okay. He doesn't have to be as handsome as me because he's a lot stronger than I am. All right. I guess it's time for the last check-in. So, show of hands. Who is on the Martins train? Who's here is still with me at this hour that still believes that Martins wins the 2022 World's Strongest Man? Type 1 if you think Martins wins the World's Strongest Man. Type 2 if you think Tom Stoltzman is the 2022 World's Strongest Man and repeating champion. And hit 3 up in the channel if you think that it's going to be someone other than Martins or Tom. I want to see these numbers light up the channel. Jorgen, I will tell you why you're wrong and why Martins doesn't think that he's more handsome than me. It's because Martins has no idea who the hell I am. So I feel confident in saying that for that reason alone, Martins does not think he's more handsome than I am. But I know who he is, so I can safely say, yeah, I'm better looking than him because I at least have a comparison. He doesn't know who I am, so he doesn't think he's better looking than me. So that's why I win that argument. Now, after I get 200,000 subscribers, which will happen never, and Martins sees who I am, then he'll be like, oh, well, he's still right. That guy is better looking than me. That's how I see the future playing out. So anyway, look, guys, we got some results coming in for Group 4. We got some results coming in. Shane Flowers. Okay, so here's what we're looking at, guys. Again, Nedsman did not withdraw after the first one. We all thought he was going to be injured. We all thought he was going to pull out because one seemed really, really bad, right? He's still competing, unlike Evan, he didn't pull out. But he only gets 3 reps here in the deadlift ladder. So whether he pulls out or not, I feel like at this point, it's more than fair to say that Nedsman is working with some kind of injury. Something's not right. Not that I expected him to be, dominant in this but something seems off. Is there a legit chance of Brian Shaw win this year? Um, yeah, because we're only 2 events deep into the qualifier. So yeah, there's a legit chance. Is it likely? No. And based on what happened earlier in the second event, I think it's less likely than it was at the start of the day. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Could Brian still do it? Yes, Brian could, and it would be foolish to count him out. But do I think he wins it? No, I didn't think Brian was going to be the 2022 World's Strongest Man when the day began. Um, but I really don't think he does now. And I don't know if he makes the final, sad to say. I think he still will. I think he'll still make the final because he'll do well in the stone off. But those results earlier were alarming. We'll check out these. We'll wait for the results for Lises, Boudreaux, Pavlo, and Gavin to come in here, and then we'll go back and we'll do another rundown like we have been so far. So, yeah, Brian definitely did bad in the second event. Um, yeah, he did bad in the second event, and that's not a hot take, Zev. Yes, Brian is past his prime. There are people who are fans who let that cloud their judgment. Um, and so again, there are definitely Brian definitely has a core group of fans who, if you say anything that's not Brian is the greatest, then you're being disrespectful. You're being mean. You're being hateful. If you say that Brian's not going to win every event, it's terrible. Um, but um, uh, but the fact of the matter is, Brian himself will tell you he's he's not in his prime. He's not the Brian of old. That's not really a knock on Brian. As we've talked about it several times in this, we'll keep talking about it. It's a combination of the fact that Father Time's undefeated. Brian's getting older. Young guys are coming up. Younger guys are training smarter, faster, and harder than ever before, and earlier. They're getting into the sport younger and earlier, which gives them a leap up. Um, so it is what it is. Brian is still good. He's still elite. He's still one of the strongest men on the planet Earth. But he's not the best Brian Shaw we've ever seen. Um, yeah, I know people are going to say that, and that's the other thing. What Cody's saying there, did he do bad or is he holding back? That's the question, and that's again, that's where stuff clouds the judgment. When Brian doesn't do well, we start making excuses. What's the reason for it? I bet he did it on purpose. I bet he's saving himself for this. All of these things are possible. All of these things are possible. But um, yeah, you can ask me questions. I'll answer them. I'm not looking for you guys to give me money to answer your questions. I don't need the super chat stuff. Now, if you're wanting to be on the screen, then I'll work on that. Again, keep in mind, guys, I didn't intend to start a channel or anything like this. I just was just hanging out. But this is fun. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so we're gonna keep it going. But I'm probably never gonna have super chats. I'm a tech guy. I can make it on the stream where I can in my stream I can make it so I can feature your questions without having to ask you guys for money. This is on the World's Strongest Man site, and deep. So if you go to the worldstrongestman.com, and at the top, if you go to 2022 information, you'll see 2022 live results. If you click on that, you'll see the exact same page that I'm looking at now. But if you, again, back to what I was saying before I got off on that tangent, when you start saying, is this true? Did Brian do bad, or is he holding back? When you start asking, of course it's possible he's holding back. It's not likely though. You have to ask yourself, what is more logical? And the more logical thing is that if he could win, he would win. No, these at the end of the day, these guys are all competitors. They're all competitors. They want to beat the other guy. That's what competition is. And Brian is a very competitive guy. You don't become four-time world's strongest man without being hella competitive. So if he could give the option between going out there and winning or finishing second, third, fourth, or in this case, fifth, he's going to choose the victory. Uh, and again, I know what you're saying there, Lane, and I appreciate it, but I don't need you guys to give me money for stuff like that. We're hanging out, we're having fun, we're talking, I'm enjoying myself. If you have questions, you ask them, I'll answer them. So Brian finished fifth in the second event. He finished second in the first event. So he reversed. He got second most points in event one, and the second fewest points in event two. And I think that's a pretty good take there. If you're going to make a logical reason why Shaw would do that, it'd be much later in the competition. If you don't, the last thing you want to do early on is put yourself in a hole and have to dig your way out of it. So if you are going to hold something back for the final, which I don't like that mentality or anything anyway, I think it's not overly wise to be honest. But if you are going to do that, it makes no sense to do it early. You want to do it late. The last thing you want to do is find yourself in third, fourth, fifth, sixth position after two or three events, and you've only got one or two events to save yourself. That's very dangerous. So, two people move on. So the way it works is Sukdeep. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm butchering, I'm sure. I'm going to say Sukdeep, but I don't know. Sandhu. I feel like the last name's easier, but I'm probably doing it wrong too. Anyway, the way it works is the person who finishes first in their group gets an automatic bid to the finals. So if you finish at the top, you move on. If you finish second and third, you go into what is called the stone off. And the way that works is the second place person simply has to match the third place person in the stone off, but the third place person has to beat the second place. So what that would mean is it seems kind of complicated. So what that would mean is let's go up here. Actually, I don't want to leave because the results are coming in. So right now we've got Martins and Maxine in the first and second position, and Pavlo was in third. So let's say they finish exactly that way. Martins in first, Max in second, and Pavlo in third. If that happens, Martins goes to the final. Max and Pavlo would then compete in a stone off. So Max gets the advantage if he's in second of going after Pavlo. So Pavlo does a stone, and then Max has to match it. Pavlo does a second stone. Max has to match it. Pavlo does a third stone. Max has to match it. In order for Max to win, all he has to do is equal what Pavlo does. But in order for Pavlo to move on, he has to do one more than Max. So Pavlo would have to get the fourth, and Max would have to drop the fourth, and so on and so forth. So that's how the stone offs work. I hope that helped. And the chat fell silent. So everybody was thinking, why is he explaining a stone off that we already know? Or everybody's like, wow, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, or he's explained it wrong, or they're thinking, wow, that's so enlightening that now I'm in a cloud of amazement and Jace my hero. So, no, the events and the finals change. So we'll go back and we'll look at that in a minute. We're going to go back and review the other groups once we get Lisi's and Maxime's results here. We'll go back and look at the loading race from all 5 groups, the deadlift ladder for the previous groups, and then we'll go back and we'll look at the events that are to come in the next couple days and the finals. Someone said Jason again. Oh, man. I think it might have been the same person that said Jason earlier. Oh. And my dog is crying and whining because someone said Jason. That's how bad it is. I was like, why would someone say Jason? It's Jace. I'm a 42-year-old, and I feel like that moment happened to me about, well, I don't know, but I definitely don't feel like as good at 42 as I did at 25. Um, do I think Mateusz will come back and win a world soon? Okay, so I'm going to answer this the same way I answered these questions earlier because there's a big difference between someone saying what you think will happen and someone saying what there's a chance of. Do I think that will happen? No, I do not think that will happen. Do I think it could happen? Sure, I think it could happen. I'm not saying that Mateusz doesn't have a chance. I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I don't look for it to happen, but I wish him the best, and I hope he does. It would be amazing if Mateusz could come back healthy and not only be the like the Mateusz of old, but a better Mateusz than we have ever seen. That'd be awesome. Um, but there's a difference between what I expect, think is likely, and what I think will happen. It could definitely happen, but I don't look forward to. I think the stone off is stupid. My opinion. I think the stone off is completely stupid. But they haven't asked for my opinion. Um, I think the stone off is stupid for a lot of reasons. The way they do it, I think, is stupid. Um, I think it's unfair to the other guys too. I mean, like if you're really the first place guy in your group, the better. I honestly think then why do you need half the guys going into the final to be more deteriorated? Why do you need to have them even weaker? Are we really just looking at the finals? It's supposed to be the five best in the world competing against one another? Should we count 6 through 10 out because they didn't win their heats? I think it's goofy. They are definitely more diminished. They had to do more work to get there. Is that fair? I don't think it's fair. So I don't like the fact that not everybody has to do it. The concept of the stone is dumb. And then to sit there and say that you don't even have to beat the guy, you can just tie the guy and win. That's ludicrous to me. I don't like anything about the stone off at all. I don't like the stone off. Plus, I don't like the stone off. And while we're talking about it, I'm not a big fan of the stone off. He did, Paul. That doesn't mean it was fair. It doesn't mean, again, that was also, let's be honest, that's the exception, not the rule. Kind of like I was talking about a minute ago. There's a difference between what someone is saying likely and everything else. Not saying you can't win the stone off and get to there and win. You definitely can, but you're at a disadvantage. You're at a disadvantage. All right, now we have our results in. And look at this. Look at this, guys. Martins wins the first event. He wins the second event. This is exactly what happened in groups 1, 2, and 3, and I just talked about how amazing that would be. Gav, wow, he jumps up here and locks himself in with a second place finish here. Max falls back with a fourth place finish in this event, leaving him in third. Shane rocks down the third place finish. Fortunately, he didn't do very well in the first one, so he's in fourth. Pavlo, Pavlo's in trouble. Pavlo is in trouble. I guess no more trouble than Shane, but Pavlo would have expected to be higher, I think. Um, props up to Gav. Props up to Gav. And Nedsman, I don't know what's up there. I don't know what's up with Neds. He hasn't withdrawn. We're not seeing an injury. Something's got to be wrong, though, right? But yeah, so far everything is. I said we go back and review, so let's do it again. We'll leave these crazy fifth placers who aren't really important. We'll leave them at the end, and I say that facetiously. Of course, they're just as important as the other guys, but we're gonna have to go watch them anyway. But let's go back up here to the top and let's take a look at this. Tom Stoltman, number one in his group overall. He wins both, not one, both of the events. Kevin Ferris is in second with a second place and a third place finish. Mitchell Hooper, number 1 in his group overall. He wins not one event, but both events. That's right, not one, but both. Gabe taking the Lisi's normal path to victory here with no wins but consistent finishes, giving him 2 third-place finishes for second overall. And yep, Brian's not in the safe seat. He's tied with Bobby Thompson right now as they switched between 5th-place finishes and 2nd-place finishes. The third heat, Group 3, Alexei Novikov, 1st place overall. How was he in 1st place overall? By winning the loading race. Oh yeah, but that's not enough. He also decided, I'm going to go ahead and win the deadlift ladder as well. It's not enough to win one event. Let's win them both. So far, that's what all of these group leaders are doing. Adam Bishop is in 2nd with 2 second-place finishes. He's been behind Alexei in both events so far. And I felt I might be selling Adam Bishop a little bit low on the totem pole this year. So far, it's looking like I might have. But I still think that Group 3 is the toughest group overall due to how close the competition is between a lot of these fellas. Group 4, Martins. He's here. He's there. He's so far, the only place he really seems to be is in 1st place. He's not here, there, and everywhere. He's only in one place, 1st place, because he says, hey, I'm taking 6 points in the loading race, and I'm going to take 6 points in the deadlift ladder. Why? Because I can. So far, through 4 groups, the person who won an event has won everything. If this continues on, which it won't, let's be honest, but if it does, how spectacular is this, guys? This is crazy. And then Gav is in the 2nd place safe position with, get this, he got 3 points. He went from 4th to 2nd. So he didn't start out all that hot, and then he battles back. And these guys are kind of picking at each other, so that's enough to give Gav a tie for 2nd with Max. All right. And you might be asking yourself, why do we have Gav here and Max here? And I'm not an expert, and if it finished this way, I'm not sure the rules here. Obviously, we'd go to the stone off, right? So it would answer itself. But in this case, I think the reason that World's Strongest Man has Gav on top of Max is because it goes with the most recent event. So Gav beat Max on this event. So even though they got the same points, that gives Gab higher on the group rankings right now. Although at the end it doesn't matter because there's going to be a stone off if they finish this way. But I think that's why it says he's in 2nd, he's in 3rd. I think that's the reason. But anyway, that's where we're at so far. And now it's time for us to wait for the Slowpokes, Group 5. And something tells me that Evan Singleton will probably have the fewest points of the deadlift ladder. No, the finals won't be live streamed because nothing is live streamed because World's Strongest Man hates us all. Not my pick. It's just well, at this point, everyone's dark horse has to be Mitchell Hooper, right? Who is your dark horse? At this point, the only way Mitchell Hooper isn't your dark horse is if you were shouting loud and proud before it began that he was going to win it all. I thought he was going to do well and surprise some people, but he's exceeding anything that I thought so far. Now, again, we have to level our expectations here. We're 2 events in. There's a lot of contests left, but at this point, he isn't just winning them; he's winning them big. He's dominating Group 2. He's making it look easy. So at this point, your answer has to be Mitchell Hooper. If your answer is anything other than Mitchell Hooper, I'm going to look at you and go, why? He has to be the dark horse. So there's my very uneventful, unshocking answer. Yeah, Mitchell Hooper is the dark horse. He has to be. what percentage chance do I give Hooper to win World's Strongest Man altogether? And we're talking about this year right now, right, Landon? I'll wait for Landon to say we're talking about this. Okay, if we're going to say this year, I think 10% is great. I think 43 would be phenomenal, Stephen. I don't know if that's a real answer or not, but um, if you say 10%, basically what you're saying that the guy makes the final, because if you make the final, you finish at least 10th, which is by definition 10%, right? Assuming that everyone had an equal opportunity, which they don't. Um, but the way he's performing, um, I didn't have him moving on into the final before today started. I want to see how he does over the next couple days. Obviously, tomorrow will be super interesting. But as of right now, I'm a believer. I think that this kid probably does make the final. Um, I'll say I'll say 18% as of right now. 18% seems like a really weird answer, but I also think that's super high. It's super high. 18%. Some people might be that's way too low. Could be. Um, I still need to see more, but some people might think that 18% is like still riding the hype train, and I might be. But if so, I'm riding it because he earned it today. He's put on the kind of performance that makes you have to pay attention, right? Um, and other people might be like, well, now you're a hater. So I'm probably somewhere between riding the hype train and being delusional and a hater. At 18%, I'm probably somewhere in the middle. There's probably half the people who think that I'm a jerk and hate the kid, and the other half that think I'm being unrealistic. But I feel like that's a respectful percentage, really. 18%, and that's high praise for a kid who's never been in a major competition, competing his first world's strongest man, and we're all looking at him going, it's not unthinkable. It's not unthinkable. It's pretty dang good. But whoever asked me that question, I think it was Landon, come join us tomorrow if I play hooky from work and we watch it together. And if you do, ask me that same question tomorrow. Ask me what I think his chances are when we're after we get through the third and fourth events. Um, and we'll see if my answer is still 18% or if it plummets or skyrockets. I think it'll probably move. Whether it will move up or down, I don't know. But I am aware that this is day one of 3 days of qualifying. And someone just said something very interesting. Martin Price just said Hooper seems very grounded as well. He seems to have a great temperament. That's very true. I don't know if you guys watched his reaction or response to Big Law's video about him. If you didn't, I highly suggest you go check it out. Go watch what Mitch Hooper said in regards to Big Law's content of him. I was thoroughly impressed with Mitch Hooper's reaction because he did seem incredibly grounded. He did seem very self-aware. He did seem very honest. He seemed a crazy combination of, much like I spoke about Brian Shaw earlier, of confident yet still humble. The criticisms that Big Laws levied in Mitchell Hooper's way, he didn't dodge them. He said Big Laws is right about that. That's completely fair. That's completely right. And in the things that he was confident about, he had no problem saying, "Oh, I'm going to do well here, and here's why I'm going to do well." He was able to defend the position without sounding like a cocky jerk. I walked away from his reaction to Big Law's video thinking, "Wow, if you can be that real with yourself, not buy into your hype, but also not hold the others up where you're like in idol worship." I think it's a bad thing sometimes when athletes, even these young athletes, like idolize the guys above them because it's hard to compete against people that you idolize. So you have to do a weird kind of thing where you have to put yourself on their level, but without speaking from an air of loftiness that you haven't deserved because you haven't gone out there and earned it or competed or did anything yet. So there's a weird balance, and I thought he was perfect. I give him an A plus 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 review to the way he handled Big Law's constructive criticism about his chances and everything. I haven't watched Terry's interview with him, so I'll definitely do that. I have not seen Terry's interview, so I'll make sure I watch that. Uh-oh, our viewers are going down. Either people don't really care about Group 5, or we have managed to bore them now. Um, we made it all the way up to, what did we get to earlier? 735 people were with us at one time. Now we're down to 273. Uh, but man, we made it to 735. Not bad for someone who wasn't sure if he was going to hang out alone today or not. That's pretty cool. Hope I picked up some subscribers today. All right. These results should be coming in soon. Yeah, they're getting enough work and stop watching. Now that they have free time, they can't use their free time. They can only use their free time when when they should be doing something important. Uh, we're uh, we're gonna dive into these guys since you guys talked me to do this channel and keeping it going. No, Josh, this is actually the first day I've streamed. I guess I should. It's the first day I've ever streamed about Strongman. Something I've been thinking about doing for years and never thought anyone wanted to hear me because I'm just a fan. But it seems people are into this, so I'm gonna keep it going. Um, so this is here to stay now. But but yeah, we've already got a few ideas, and I think you guys work because a lot of the ideas that I have for future videos and stuff and streams, um, um, well, they came from you in this chat here. You guys have given me already great ideas for videos that we should do later, so we're gonna do that. And I've got several more in my mind that I've been sitting here thinking about as we've been talking. So I think we're gonna have plenty of content coming in the next few weeks. All I'd really like to get out of this, though, is maybe make a few friends who share hobbies and passions that I have. Um, and maybe, if I'm gonna throw pipe dreams out there, maybe if I wind up getting a following, that'd be cool where I could use this to actually meet some of these guys that I have tremendous respect for. I would. It'd be cool if I could use this and then wind up shaking a few hands. That'd be awesome. Um, Here's a question for you guys while we're waiting for these Group 5 results. You guys tell me. You guys tell me. In your opinion, what is the single greatest accomplishment or feat of strength that you've seen in the strongman world this year, or in the last 12 months, I'll say? I know, I know what I will say, but I want to hear what you guys say. I'm curious what you guys think is the single greatest thing that's happened in the strongman world in the last 12 months. Tick tock, tick tock. All right, Novikov's dumbbell, pretty good. Eddie versus Thor. Man, again, I wished I hadn't watched it. Although they were both better than I thought they were going to be. Um, and it did not look like a drunken barroom brawl. But anyway. Um, yep, Pedro. Pedro has my answer. That's Chloe Brennan. For anyone who didn't see it, Chloe Brennan, girl who probably weighs 125, 130 pounds at best, lifted 700 plus pounds of Denny stones. In my opinion, Chloe Brennan picking up those Denny stones is the single most impressive thing I have seen in the world of strength this year. I almost feel like they were styrofoam and it was fake. It blows my mind that that young lady did that. It was crazy. So you're on my page there, Pedro. I agree. Chloe Brennan was my answer. I was floored. And again, I told you guys earlier, I used to think of myself as a strong guy. When I saw Chloe lift those Denny stones, I was like, I am never bragging about anything I do in the gym ever again. Never. I am never, ever going to talk about what I've done. Um, I was just blown away by her. And it wasn't just because she picked those Denny stones up, which I don't think any woman ever had at the time, but it's because of how small she is. You know, she competes in that small lightweight division, and they don't say, but I mean, I don't know what she weighs. I don't know much about her, but I would be shocked if that girl weighs 130 pounds. I would be shocked. And there's some other good answers in there, but I was I was definitely amazed by Miss Chloe Brennan. I honestly don't know how she did it. And like I said, there are some other good answers in there, but that was mine. Um, and that's the other thing that Pedro was talking about. Pedro was like, he's in my mind right now. Get out of my head, Pedro. Uh, those rings, first of all, they're not flat like a bar. With a bar, you can at least grab a hold of everything. That bar is curved around, so it's knuckling in on the sides of your hand, boom and boom. And I don't know if you've seen those Denny Stones up close or not, and I haven't either. I'm going on hearsay because I know people who have gone and attempted to lift them. But those rings are, they're not exactly a smooth piece of work. These are rusty, ugly, and I don't know if they were the legit Denny Stones or if they were replicas. I don't know, but assuming they were, these are not fun things to hold. And I've seen big, burly, 300-pound men pick these things up and almost be in tears that it hurts so bad. To see her do that, and then she tried the first time, and she failed, and she failed miserably. The second time, she tries again, and she falls over, and she comes back for a third attempt and lifts those suckers up. Oh, I was floored. I was floored. I've got to stop reading the comments. It makes for a boring stream when I'm sitting there staring at and reading, right? But I don't know how I don't know if you guys can appreciate how difficult this is to have no plans to stream at all today, to press the go live button, and then basically to just sit here and talk to you guys without stopping for 5 hours. Uh, it's been pretty tough. Hopefully, I'm sounding somewhat with it. We got our first results. Yay! Kim Ujarak. 6 pointies. I have two dogs actually. One is a big beast, and the other is a teeny tiny guy. Um, Neither of them like me very much. Both of my dogs love me, but they hate me at the same time. It's like when I'm feeding them, there's no one on the planet that is cooler than me. When I'm not feeding them, though, I'm pretty sure they both hate me. I did watch The Strongest Man in History. That show was awesome, and I want to see it brought back. Brian has been asked about it numerous times. He recently said they are going to be bringing it back, but since he said that, I haven't heard anything else about it. So I don't know any more details. I'll be looking into it and let you guys know as we go forward, but I don't know if it's going to be the same four fellas, if it's going to be a different cast, if it's, I don't know. But yes, I did see Strongest Man History. I'm a history buff anyway, um, and I thought that show was cool. And I think that, again, there's enough money in streaming and stuff like that that even if history didn't want to pick it up, I don't know why someone couldn't make a very successful show of that. I would love to produce something like that. Um, it'd be fun to do something like that, although I wouldn't look very good if I was doing them. Uh, but I think it's awesome. Who's friend Rob? Are we talking about Mr. Oberst? And if we're using like friend there, like me, or if we're not talking with him, I don't know. I don't have anything against Rob. Um, I know he's very polarizing. Um, I think he's, I think he's seems like a cool dude. Um, that's cool. He's very entertaining. I just don't think he's the elite of the elite in the sport. But again, super strong dude. I would never walk up to him and be like, "Hey man, you suck," because he doesn't suck. Um, my dogs are mutts. It's pretty much all I've ever had. I did have a Yorkie once upon a time uh, because it was given to me free. Otherwise, I wouldn't. But I always get mutts because I have a soft spot for them. Um, I'm a mutt myself. I'm not no purebred, and I think it's sad that we've got dogs that you can't give away for $0 and don't have a home or may lose their lives because no one wants them because of they're not a purebred or they don't even have a high price tag. I think it's kind of weird and kind of sad that it's easier to sell a dog for $1,500 than it is to give a dog away for $0. So I'm not going to tell anyone what kind of pets to have or not have or whatever, but I like mutts. Now Macy, I don't know if that Macy, I don't know how to. I apologize. I'm usually good at names, but these these Slavic names or Icelandic names and Dutch, German, those specific ones give me more problems than a lot of others. But anyway, uh, I can appreciate you saying that you hate Oberst because he was invited while there were better athletes not invited. I get that, but the only thing I would say about that is if you're invited to something like that, you'd be a fool not to take the opportunity. You 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 can't blame him for being invited. He didn't invite himself. They sent the invitation his way. Um, you can't hate on him for that. You could tell them, don't invite him. There were more worthy candidates or whatever. And maybe you got a point. But you can't get mad at him for getting invited. I couldn't stand a chance in the world if they sent me an invite to tomorrow. Guess where I'd be heading? I'd go take my last place with a smile on my face and appreciate the pedestal I was given. So I also like little mutts, and I cannot lie. And I would never think about trying to deny. Dun dun dun. All right. Well, apparently they want to let us know how Kim did, but no one else. Let's look for a refresh and see what's going on in the Strongman archives. Nope. Guess that's it. Come on. Come on. Give us some more. Give us some more. Oh man. I know that was probably a painful laugh, very loud into the microphone, but I sort of enjoyed that comment that I just read. Oh, there they go. Not giving us one person at a time, but throw in two more at the same time. Wow. Wow. Although it's still only 4 reps. Well, you know what? I don't know if Luke can win this or will win this or not. Um, but because he only has to lift it. That's it, basically. If Kelvin is really the only person that can compete there, we might see exactly what we've seen so far. We might see exactly that. All 5 groups, the first day leader wins both events. Very possible. Not saying it's going to happen. Luke still has to perform, still has to get his job done here. But when you look at what he has to beat right now, 4 reps in 53 seconds, only got one competitor to beat for it. This this could be a slam dunk for day one. 5 day one winners, 5 day one dominant performances. This is interesting. I would have thought we would get more out of Melsted as well. Um, I don't think he's top of the food chain with the deadlifts, but I would have anticipated more than 3 freaking reps. Oh man, I don't even want to talk about the Novikov incident. I don't like to sit in judgment when I don't know all sides of a story or anything, but um, mm, there's a lot of things that happen in this sport I love that I don't love, if that makes any sense. Yeah, a lot of things that I don't love happen in the sport that I love. Go do a search for it. Go do a search for it. But we're not going to talk about that right now. It's, yeah. Again, I don't want to judge anyone or speak about something when I don't know all sides of the story. I feel like that's unfair. But from what I do know, which is not much, it's sad. Anyway, anyway, tell us how Luke and Kelvin did. Tell us how Luke and Kelvin did. I really need a bathroom break. That's what I'm looking forward to when this day one stuff is over. Need a bathroom break. I got a couple Diet Dr. Peppers and a protein drink to get rid of. Oh, guys. So no matter how Luke or Kelvin do, I think most of us would say that it's fair to say that they're not going to beat 5 reps in 31 seconds. So my tongue-in-cheek prediction earlier of Mitchell Hooper having the best time in the whole damn day of the deadlift ladder, guess what? Shouldn't count our chickens before they hatch because still got 2 competitors to report here, but I feel like it's pretty safe to say Mr. Hooper did it. The best freaking time of the day. Not only that, guys, look at this. Novikov with 37.25 in the loading race. Martins with 37.73. He had the third best time overall in the freaking loading race. And the deadlift ladder, no one's even close, really. Alexi 4 seconds behind. I guess that's relatively close, but not as close as he was to him on the other way around. I kind of think it's fair. I kind of think it's fair and not an overstatement to say that Mitchell Hooper has dominated day one of the world's strongest man. Is that fair? I think it's fair. Well, they're not wrong now. It does appear that Group 2 is the group of death, meaning that if you were voting, if you were rooting for stars, you may not get your wish because Mitchell Hooper seems to have killed them all. he, what a great start. He could not have asked for a better start to the World's Strongest Man. It's crazy. I'm interested in seeing what Big Laws has to say about Mr. Hooper after this. So let me get this straight. Even though Big Laws and Liz went live, a few hundred of you guys chose to stay here with me. That is, I'm deeply touched, and I am impressed by you guys' bad taste. As a matter of fact, funny thing, talked earlier about things, and I used to say, people would say, "Hey, Jace, what is your favorite trait in a woman?" And I used to always say, bad taste. Hands down, my favorite trait in a woman is bad taste, because if she's got bad taste, I've got a shot. So never underestimate the power of bad taste. All right, Kelvin, only 3 reps. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Luke can beat 4 reps in 53 seconds. It's going to happen. All 5 winners in the day win both events. Wow. Wow. And Jean Steven is going to pick up 5 or 6 points with a 4 rep deadlift ladder. Wow. I'm also a Laws and Liz subscriber, but as of yesterday, I've been following them forever, but I joined yesterday. And I will continue to munch their content religiously as going forward because I love Laws and Liz. And there we have it. It's official. Luke takes max points. And look at this, guys. He only got 4. He got the fastest time, didn't get a 5th rep. Soon he saw the others, knew he didn't have to. Good strategy, save himself there. But going into this, some of us were like, is Group 5 the weakest? Does Luke have preference? Blah, blah, blah. Now, again, we don't know what Evan would have done here. We don't know, right? More speculation. I'm going to make the controversy more controversial here. Let's bring in some drama to end this show. Give you guys something to talk about. Was Luke really in the easiest group? Was he? Well, don't know. But what we do know is he just got 6 points in the only group that did not have a 5 rep finisher in the deadlift ladder. Time for some controversy. Let's debate. But let's debate it later. Because I'm tired, guys. I'm sure you guys are too. Thanks for joining me today. I'll check you guys out later. And go out there and be strong. Or whatever these guys always say. There's always some kind of tagline, right? Be great. Or something. I don't know. Be taller than me. See ya.